All right, and we're back. We're on. It's weird not having our intro or whatever, but we're on. It's Wednesday. There's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff to talk about. It's a shitty week.
It's a hot mess.
Yeah, it's a shitty week for sure. Do you want to, by the way, say hello to everyone? You're better at it than me.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the old 5x5 channel here. We got an interesting lineup here today. Dee Dee is out still, and not sure exactly when he'll be back. Maybe in a couple weeks, we'll see. So I think we'll continue into the second hour here today. Of course, we'll have Sunny Days bringing up the third hour. And as far as I know, I believe Pixels and 412 will actually be here today after last week and the whole symposium stuff going on and everybody kind of doing their thing with that. So hopefully somewhat normal, but good to see you guys over on the YouTube side, over on D Live if you're joining there. Be sure to get over to Trovo. For those of you guys who tune in on D Live, you guys may want to get over there. The feed tends to be a little bit more stable by way of video quality, etc. So you may want to get signed up there. And I think Soko, maybe you can drop the old link tree. And of course, hello to our folks over on Foxhole app as well.
Yeah.
Oh, and Twitch, by the way. I forget we're still on Twitch.
Yep, we are.
Hello.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to dig something out.
So which part of the blankety blank show would you like to start with first? The conflagration going on in the Middle East?
Didn't I send you the link tree, by the way? I thought you had it. It's in a Zoom chat if you need it. I'll just start out anecdotal. I talked about it with breaking yesterday and today. I know people that have been in the military. And again, my experience is, this is just my experience. I've had uncles in the military, my stepbrothers in the military. I have close friends within the military. So friends and family all around. I live in Tennessee. We're called the volunteer state for a reason, yada, yada, yada. But from my experience, most of the people I see brag about their time in the military. If they were in the military, hardly ever saw any, honestly, never really saw active war. They were behind a desk, or they were maybe in a different country, at a different base, but they never fought in an actual active war. They're the kinds of people who be like, hoo-ha, blah, blah, blah. Again, just speaking from my experience, the people that have actually gone to war and have been on the other side of, of watching a bullet strike one of their teammates or having to kill somebody else, rarely ever want to talk about it. I mean, they just don't speak about their time over there. It's like something they don't want to keep reliving. And then again, that's just from what I've experienced. So my friend, and there's so many Johns in the world, I don't think, but I've had a friend named John for probably 22 years. He served 14 and a half years in the Army. And he called me yesterday. And now this is why I love guys and guy friends, because they don't call all the time. You don't have to keep in touch with them all the time. But I knew when he called me, I was like, something up. And we just kind of started talking about the Afghanistan falling to the Taliban. And you got to understand, this man did 3 tours in Iraq. And so I found it astonishing. Like he said to me, he was like, yeah, he said, not only did we flee the way that we did, he said, we basically left them, billions of dollars worth of equipment. He said, just like Apache helicopters. And he started going through listing. So I know he's paid attention and look, and I could just hear in his voice, the part where he had to admit to himself, was this all just a bunch of bullshit? Because you got to remember, they were told there were weapons of mass destruction. That was a lie. Osama bin Laden was not there when they were sent. That was a lie. And so, it just listening to him, who does not talk much, and he didn't say even much yesterday, was just, I could hear it in his voice. And I think so. Anyway, so I was going to show you a little bit of what they left there. I found a couple of videos, because you'll watch the news and the news will be like, oh, they didn't leave any, actually military, like weapons or, okay. This is why you get, and he did say this to me too as well. He said that they never trusted the news while he was over there. Remember, I think we started being friends when he went over for a second tour. But he said they never trusted the news. He said, because this is how the news was. He said they would go right along with the enemy, like the Taliban, right? And he said, or they would try to ride along with us. He said, but the difference is he said they would come right along, go right along with the Taliban, and they would be like, oh, well, we can't tell you where you are for, security reasons, but da-da-da-da. He said they'd come try to get in the Humvee with us. He said they'd announce what road we were on, what province we were heading to, how many people we had with us, what kind of artillery we were carrying. He said, and it happened. It was like, we'd turn, look at him like, what side are you on? He was like, they'd report everything about how easy it would be for some to come ambush us, because our own news media is telling them exactly where to find us and what we have. He said, so it got to the point where nobody in the military trusted the news and wanted them with them. So again, there's that. I thought that was interesting as well, but I'm going to show this really quick. So it's one of those days for me. I just, hearing John feel so just kind of beside himself. It's just sad, really. I mean, the guy served 14 and a half years in our army. Anyway, so here's some of the stuff. Well, they said they didn't leave any damn weapons. Okay. All right.
Alhamdulillah, that girl the Sayyidina. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
Yep. Just be there.
دغه مين پرونی وګورش وډلې دي دغه دربینان دي سجل خزای مخابرې دي
I was trying to see if those were the night vision goggles we just spent hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars sending over there. That was at the first of this video back there. It's kind of look like them. Just saying. But nothing. They didn't leave any artillery over there, right? No real firearms. He left that fucking helicopter. Military, like mine deterrent, heavily armed vehicles. Yeah, maybe anything. Let's see. I think there's one. Yeah, here's one. Just so y'all get it. Because they're going into all these bases they abandoned. Because remember, we armed the Afghan military too. We trained 300,000 people and spent billions of dollars arming these people. Or I don't know how many, whatever billions it is, maybe 760 million or something. I think I heard. Remember, they just ran it off and left too. So if you see any like Arabic language or whatever, that doesn't mean that this is not tax dollars. I mean, just look at that. I mean, it's fucking good God. Because you know how the military industrial complex works. I'm going to show one other thing, and I pulled up several things, but I feel kind of sick, like reporting this shit, honestly, because ironically to me, it blew my mind that of all things for John to kind of be upset about, it was not just that they felt like it was, several Americans lost their life for no reason. It was the fact that they left so much of the military equipment. Like, he was bothered by the fact that we had left. And I was like, why would they do that? John said, that's what they always do. I said, what's the reason? And he said, they try to say that it's too expensive to move it. He said, but use this rationale. If it costs you $200,000 to move an Apache helicopter, but it costs you $3 billion to build one, or no, what it means, basically $3 million to build one, but $200,000 to move one. He said, what makes more sense for an American taxpayer would want to do? That's their excuse for abandonment. So, and I will show you this one other thing. Most of you maybe will recognize this guy. He does a lot of funny stints on YouTube. He's the guy that went his first ever black cookout he went to. So he's really funny. He does funny things. But after talking to John yesterday and stumbling on this today, by the way, this guy, as far as I know, really never gets political. I've never heard him, he just tries to keep his shit funny. But this is what he said about it. So these are people, veterans here in this country, are really bothered by it. Of course they should be, but listen to him talk about what they left behind. But I'll let this play, and then I'll let Breaking down what he's going to add.
I have made a decision inside myself and in my brain that from here on out, when I'm talking about important shit, I'm coming in with straight fact-checked haymakers. Because these little jabs, they don't seem to be getting through to you bunch of hard-headed sumbitches. Okay? So let's do a little fact-check, little education, shall we? Here we go. All right? Our lovely little president has been in office 200 and some change days. Okay? In that time, let's talk about what's going on in America right now, shall we? It's a trending topic. Let's talk about it. First thing off the top of my head, inflation. It's at a 13-year high. Way to go! Woo! We are kicking ass. All right, number two, off the top of my head. Okay, gas prices are so high that you have to sit down and balance your budget like a checkbook in order to get your ass back and forth to work, to turn around and go back and forth to work. Woo! That's amazing. Wow. Let's talk about something else real quick. This is just off the top of my head here. I'm really shooting from the hip. I see here, the viruses, all right, they're coming back up. But why? Zach, why are they coming back up when everybody's taking the vaccine? It could have something to do with the fact that our southern border is open like an 8-lane freeway. But don't worry, we can't go to a Yankees or a Braves game or go to a concert without being vaccinated, but you can damn sure come up in this country. That makes a lot of sense. Why is that? It's probably because ain't nobody with common sense that's already here ever gonna vote for them people again. I mean, that's amazing that we're doing all of this just in 210 days. That's amazing. This is my favorite one. This is the one that really gets me going, okay? So all these people out there said, we need peace. Everybody needs to get along. Just give them what they want. No bad words. Well, we pulled the troops out of Afghanistan. What happened like 12 minutes later? The Taliban took over Afghanistan. But we didn't just leave. Like, there was no rhyme, reason, planning, nothing like that. We said, get y'all's ass on a plane, let's go. But we forgot something. We might have to go back. We forgot like $900 million worth of military-grade weapons, ammunition, drones, tanks, Humvees. We left all of that over there. So this is my favorite part of the whole ordeal. When they decide to come invade our ass, we're going to be fighting our own tax dollars. That's amazing that we've accomplished this much in 210 days. But there's one thing that you can bet. There's one thing that you can really hold on to. We ain't had a single mean tweet in like 210 days. This is proof, if there has ever been proof, that maybe, just maybe, every now and then, telling you what you don't want to hear and telling you the shit that's really happening might be the best way. Because I seem to remember a man, no, not too long ago, when gas was like $1.31 a gallon, you know, that was saying we need to close the border. We need to bring jobs home to America. We don't need to rely on other countries. But that sucker, I mean, he was so bad, they banned him off Twitter. The Taliban's on Twitter. They banned him off Twitter. But y'all need to remember one little thing, and y'all can fact check this all you want to. There's a little image floating around the internet, inside, on the line. There are people in Afghanistan right now that are willing to hold on to the side of an airplane to try to escape there, to come here. So maybe, just maybe, it ain't that bad here after all. All I can tell you is this. When they come over here, because they coming. Because we basically just gave them all the tools of war. When they come, they're not fighting with feelings. So there better be some red, white, and blue-blooded Americans out there. I'm talking about full of piss and vinegar, eating lead and shitting bullets. Because it's about to happen. I hope it don't. I pray it don't. But if it does, I'm ready. Shit.
Now, mind you, I have never, and maybe I'm mistaken, I have never seen him do anything like that ever. And when I watched that today, because it popped up to me, and after having the conversation with John that I did, it is like, I don't think this administration could have pissed off our military and our veterans more so than if they would have abandoned the soldiers there. Like, I mean, it is palpable how I know Americans are pissed. Okay, because it's, I mean, what happened is stupid. They're trying to talk their way out of it, make excuses, and Biden with this bumbling ass. But like John said something along the same lines, where he was like, he said our entire fucking government's corrupt. Just put on everything I own and go take out. He said, we just need to take out the fucking government, start over. Now, mind you, this is coming from someone that dedicated half of his life to it. Okay, someone that has lived above this bubble where he just didn't want to admit, like maybe he wasted his time or watched people get killed for no reason. Like, I think mentally these guys have to not go there so they can live with themselves, because they do some terrible things, you know, in the name of your country. But to hear him say that, I was like, oh God, like I could just hear the defeat in his voice of being like, fuck it. And he's just not that kind of person. So anyway, that's what I wanted to say. I got other stuff pulled up about it. I'm sure you do as well, but I've been going on for like 20 minutes. So you go for it.
Well, along those lines, it doesn't get better, folks, at all. And of course, we should probably expect that. But I'm going to start off with this guy that I found over on Gab earlier. Torba posted this as Facebook WhatsApp was essential to the Taliban taking control of Afghanistan. So they will be banned from app stores now and attacked by the media, right? Yeah, right. Kyle Bass had this to say, and I'll touch upon who Kyle Bass is here momentarily. But it says, did Facebook and WhatsApp enable the Taliban to forcibly overtake the government of Afghanistan? My special forces friends tell me that the Taliban's comms network is centered around WhatsApp. And for those who don't know, that is an entity owned by Facebook that's encrypted. And of course, they've had their eyes on that to try and have backdoors into it. And I'm sure they probably do. They sent nationwide messages to the Afghan army threatening them and their families. So this could easily become existential to Facebook and WhatsApp. And he pontificates that. So, you know, at the end of the day, square that against what took place on January 6th, for example. You know, they had to go after Parler and probably to some degree Gab. Parler obviously got deplatformed as a result, fully knowing that all the BS, all the congregations, all the discussions took place on Twitter and Facebook and probably WhatsApp to some degree. Same thing here, except now in enemy hands. So basically Facebook, Twitter, and the like, I'll say Twitter as well, are probably complicit in this. So Kyle Bass, you ask, who is that? Well, he is a hedge funder in that, and actually he had an article out yesterday out of Zero Hedge, says China to move in under security and diplomatic guise to pilfer Afghanistan's trillions in minerals. And I'm going to talk a little bit about this probably tomorrow night on show. And it is this, under this mantra that Biden, the resident that was selected, not elected, him along with most of the Western leaders under the Davos crowd have all been putting out this quip called Build Back Better. And my question is going to be this: how does that square against the One Belt, One Road, or Belt and Road Initiative Silk Road? Or are they indeed two sides of the very same coin? So stay with me here. I'm going to come back to that probably tomorrow night in a little bit more depth. But in essence, let's think about what has taken place in Afghanistan, and by far and large Iraq as well, over the last 20 years of quote unquote fighting terrorism, right? Since 9/11, that was the whole idea. How much have we pilfered and raped and pillaged the lands and that? And for whose benefit? Cui bono? Cui bono? Who benefits at the end of the day? We know that the poppy fields, all that stuff, was not there 20 years ago. They had knocked it down. They rebuilt it back. We're protecting poppy fields, and to the enrichment of who? The Bush family. We know that. That's an open secret at this point. I think we can all agree. So now where does it go? Why not stay there another 20 years? Well, as the gig up, it's time to relinquish the reins over to China, fully knowing that the resident-in-chief is owned by China because of Hunter Biden's open laptops. Good possibility. And so this becomes of importance because here in the United States, all of our precious metal, or not precious metals, but precious minerals that are pertinent to military grade stuff, we've been importing from China for a number of years, thanks to the Clinton Foundation, or Clintons rather. And now we have just given China carte blanche to come in with the Silk Road Initiative. And mind you, Afghanistan is every bit important to the Silk Road Initiative and the trade routes and that go through there. So Kyle Bass is warning that China, which announced it was ready to deepen friendly and cooperative relations with the Taliban mere hours after they toppled the Afghan government, is going to move in under security and diplomatic guise to pilfer Afghanistan's trillions in mineral deposits. On the basis of fully respecting the sovereignty of Afghanistan and the will of all factions in the country, China has maintained contact and communications with Afghan Taliban and played a constructive role in promoting the political settlement of the Afghan issue, said spokeswoman Hua Qingwing at a press conference on Monday. And recall that Beijing officials hosted Taliban leaders 3 weeks ago as the Biden administration embarked on its hasty withdrawal from Afghanistan that led to its hasty collapse. So China wheeling in. What have we known about the Belt and Road Initiative thus far? Well, China has made alliances with many of these countries, not just the land route, but the maritime route, and of course the polar route as well. There's many facets to the Silk Road Initiative. Many of these countries, especially in Africa, have gotten themselves into what is known as debt traps because China says, all right, you can be a part of it. We'll even give you special financing through China's People's Bank of China, whatever, whoever they deal with. And of course, they fully know that these poor countries are not going to be able to pay back these debts. And so what happens? All these countries get into this debt trap, probably not much different than what we've done by way of raping and pillaging the lands through the Federal Reserve and IMF, World Bank. But same side of the coin, if you will. And so they can't pay back. And next thing you know, China magically has a port that they own in Mozambique, or they own an airport, or they own the mineral rights to Chad in Africa. I'm just throwing some stuff out there. But that's what it entails at the end of the day, and this is no different. So anyway, let me flash over to this guy. It says, did the New York Fed confiscate 1.3 billion in Afghan gold, striking revelations from Afghanistan's central bank chief? Now, mind you, in all this calamity, yes, all sorts of assets left behind. Military industrial complex equipment, yes, left behind. The weapons of war just discussed. We're giving them aid and comfort. And now we find out that even the central bank perhaps left monies in their system, and the gold was confiscated by the New York Fed. Says yesterday morning, shortly after the acting Afghan central banker chief Amal Ahmadi fled the country after he was somehow pushed on board of a military plane by his colleagues, and warning on Twitter that the country has no dollars left domestically. In effect, any dollars and gold currently stored at the local central bank vault have been pillaged by the Taliban, even though the country's new rulers vowed on Saturday that the treasury, public facilities, and government offices were the property of the nation and, quote, should be strictly guarded. Sparking domestic bank runs and a record rout in the local currency. The Afghani, some asked what that means for Afghan reserves stored offshore. Well, conveniently, overnight Reuters provided a handy breakdown of the international reserves owned by the DAB, as the Afghani central bank is called. The most recent financial statement posted online shows DAB holds total assets of about 10 billion, including 1.3 billion foreign currency. Notably, a big chunk of the reserves aren't held in the country, as we observed yesterday. Digging deeper, the DAB's June statement stated that the bank owned investments worth 6.1 billion, while the latest report did not provide details of those investments. A breakdown.
Only one I'm showing sending is Twitch. Oh, there we go. Online. Okay.
There we go. Well, that was fun.
Well, look, okay.
Yeah, I think we're back.
Fucking ball of bullshit, that is.
Happening on all kinds of channels today, he says. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure it's not just YouTube, folks, and I'm sure it's not just DLive. It's all the platforms that we use. They know exactly what we use. They own them all. And until we as patriots get new tools net set up, we're probably going to have to live with this and deal with it for the foreseeable future. That's just what it is. So again, my plea to you, if you are sidelined, out of work, have the wherewithal, the skills, the dollars, the backers, what have you, fire it up, get this stuff programmed, get it in the hands of those who can disseminate the information. Let's get at it.
I'm going to be a little bit more blunt about the shit. That's sweet and all. This is a bunch of horse shit. I mean, a bunch of horse shit. Most of you come into the chat room are regulars and been around for a while. You have watched the last few weeks. Ever since I mentioned covering the pedophilia shit and all that other stuff, I have had the cops come to my house twice. I've had now me sent random weird ass fucking text messages, and I've had my modem attacked periodically out through the day. I can be online, guys, for 8 fucking hours. And by damned, if I mention about doing something about, the deep underbelly of the bullshit these sick people are into, I'm going to have issues for the rest of the fucking day. What just happened? Let me just enlighten all you what just fucking happened. I've been running this channel since October of 2019 on the same laptop. It's an Omen gaming laptop. The damn thing has the ability to stream Zoom and OBS. That's why it's a gaming laptop. Okay. We went down. I go there, do what I normally do, rush and beat it a little bit, then fire the thing back up. Y'all have all seen me go down. When I try to do it this time, I try and start my stream and it says, you can't connect because the OBS doesn't recognize your stream key. Now listen, ain't nobody changed the damn stream key since it was started in October of 2019. Nobody messes with this laptop. Nobody lives with me. I live alone. My dad don't even know how to send a text message on his flip phone. Okay, I ain't got to worry about that shit. But if Breaking is sitting here watching me do this stuff, right? And he's like, wait a minute, it's not recognizing your stream key. So I had to go in there and reset the stream key and all that stuff in order to come back on here. Yeah. That's what just damn happened. And I'm no IT. I didn't learn how to code, but I'm gonna tell you that shit's strange. Like, what the hell ever? Like, what? Yeah, I get to talk about the pedos, I get the problems. Oh shit, man. I mean, you cannot make this shit up. Exactly. World for her said, listen, guys, she talks about the pedos. She gets problems. No shit.
Maybe
I mean,
that is
that's
the
how it
key.
works.
We need to change the keys out every now and again. Sometimes after you've been robbed, and you've got locks on your doors on your house, it's time to change the locks. So periodically you need to change the keys along with the locks. We're gonna probably do so as well. That's all.
Bunch of horse shit. Well, we're all talking away. If Pixels had DM me back up behind the scenes and was like, hey, you got internet problems? Because if you look on the restream side of shit, it looks like everything's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it literally looks like everything's live. And so, unless like I've tried to go through and hunt through the streams and stuff, but if I have something pulled up, it's hard to do. So yeah, but that's what I just had to flip and do. Had to freaking go in there and reset all that shit. And guys, I've not had to do that since I started the damn channel. Nobody messes with my shit. Nobody.
Yeah,
Nobody lives here with me. My 8-pound Shih Tzu is not over there, hacking into my system while I'm asleep at night.
Yeah, it's going on all over, folks. I see somebody say Frank speech half loads and flickers. I was watching Frank's speech today, listening to Lindell at his 11 o'clock. Couldn't even get it to load on Lindell TV. So, that's why we do what we do and have multiple channels trying to get the information out. So when we do have these abnormalities, let us say, we have other avenues to do that. So bear with us.
Yeah. But like I said, I've told y'all 100 times. I just keep firing up the damn thing. They can kiss my ass. They can kiss my ass. I'm not intimidated. I'm just not. I don't live in a state of fear. That's why I cover that shit. I mean, I work for my dad. I'm not gonna lie. Me, myself, but worry about my dad. But as I lean over, as y'all probably all heard that take place, I've got one message for you, assholes. Come see me. This clip going back in. I'm not kidding. Oh, okay. So anyway, get back to we was trying to cover about Afghanistan and the bullshit going on there. I'll say this. So I always say this. I don't believe a effing thing the media is telling us. I don't believe none of this bullshit. But I asked John, how in the hell could we be over there for 20 years? We all heard reports when Trump was in office how the Taliban had been defeated, ISIS had been defeated. And when we mentioned about leaving, I said, what all these people do, come out from the damn caves in brand new clothes, carrying brand new weapons, driving fairly brand new trucks. I mean, really? I mean, where are all these motor vehicles at the damn caves? I mean, I didn't know. Now we're back fucking on air, hopefully. This is a goddamn nightmare. This is a mother flipping nightmare.
All right. I think we're back.
I'm not even going to fucking talk. I think they have my southern voice pegged. You two carry on.
Say what now?
So I think they have my southern voice pegged to attack.
Oh,
so I'm going to shut up. Y'all just go ahead. Camone's here, by the way. South Africa representing. Shutting up. Carry on. Been a fucking nightmare, folks. Go ahead.
Yeah, it has been a bang up day so far here. Where's that coming from? Oh, I guess. All right, pause that over there. All right. Well, I think we might be back here. KB is joining the broadcast here out of South Africa today. I don't even know really where to begin at this point with all this stuff going on. Why don't we start off, KB, with what's been going on down your way? You got anything positive, I guess, at this point?
The only positive thing is that there are more people appearing to stand up and fight back than there have been, because certainly certain pockets of the South African population are still under the spell of the of the medical establishment. And recently, what's happened and what's come to the fore is that the first lady cardiologist, the surgeon, sorry, she's the first female surgeon cardiologist, spoke out against the vaccine. And she happens to work out of the one of the biggest hospitals in the southern part of the country, literally 5 kilometers from where I live. And there was a massive lashing out against her from the medical establishment, particularly the hospital that she worked at. And what's been really encouraging, there's her name is Dr. Susan Vosloo, and already on Telegram she's got 10,000 supporters that are standing by her. And with your gracious offer of all those reference articles and newspaper references that you have made available, I'm sent those through to her in order for her to be able to utilize a lot of that in her own defense. But there are more and more people that are standing up to this, excuse my language, bullshit. But because that's exactly what it is. I think they've pushed the envelope a little too far. And this is on a global stage. You know, and you can see what's happening down in Australia, what's happening in New Zealand. I mean, they've gone beyond the pale. These people are pushing it so hard that even people who probably taken the vaccine or intend taking the vaccine are actually thinking twice now.
Yeah, and I think we well know that they have overrun their headlights. If you look at it from the standpoint of, you know, I don't even know where to really start, whether you want to say that it was started with the inception of DJT, you know, taking 4 years of the presidency because they never thought she would lose, whether it was the intel on that we received behind the scenes with the 17th letter, or the fact that they decided, well, we're going to get this guy whatever way we can on a second impeachment trial, which was a mockery and a total sham. And then we're going to release this COVID scamdemic on the world after Event 201 played out back in October 2019. If you want to date it back 10 years to the Rockefeller paper, great, that's fine too. We know that they've had all this stuff in works for a very long time. I think we collectively knew and had insight over the last 3-4 years that it was going to come to this. They were going to overplay their hand. And to their beguilement, the internet has proved more beneficial to us and a detriment to them. And that even though they have the Googles, the Facebooks, the Twitters net in their hip pocket to try and thwart the free flow of information around the world, we're still getting it done. And more people are awake to what is going on. And now it's readily apparent through this COVID nonsense, the jab nonsense, the mask nonsense, and now what is playing out in Afghanistan, that people's eyes should be wide freaking open at this point.
Very much so. In fact, when it comes to Afghanistan, if you see the number of cartoons and memes that have been sent to me, but by people that have been previously perhaps looking upon me as a conspiracy theorist, I actually chuckle because...
Do you call them fellow conspiracy theorists now?
Well, almost. No, not quite, you know. In fact, I've got a meme which I sent through to Soko a little earlier, and it's got to do with the jab. And there's some, perhaps, Laura seems to have disappeared. Maybe I can share a screen because...
Yeah, go ahead.
There we go. I mean, I got a couple of, yeah, this is a cool one. I've got to find it now. But here we go. I mean, and this is in South Africa, the amount of Biden jokes, here we go, that one, and share screen. Share screen. There we go.
Thinking about it.
Can you see that?
Not yet. It's still waiting to come up. Might be a slow connection from, there we go. There you go. I can always remove my tinfoil hat one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you remove your spike proteins?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's one really funny one that I've actually saw about Biden, which I thought was hysterical. But there we go, this one over here.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've got a couple that I didn't even get to here during the first hour during our calamity here that I'll put up here momentarily. But yeah, good. I'd say it's good. People are actually starting to wake up to the just level of corruption in that, not just this government, not just through these Davos, UN, you name it, but every single government at the end of the day, it's all being exposed.
Very much so, and rapidly. I mean, if one looks at the pace of the spreading of these memes, the news articles that are coming around, I'm actually quite impressed. You know, it's almost, you understand finances very well. It's like the velocity of money is really picking up, you know.
Velocity of memes.
Yeah, velocity. The
velocity of money, on the other hand, is slowed down to a snail's crawl.
Yeah. But it's been fantastic. You know, I mean, I must have got, without exaggeration, today I must have got 15 cartoons, memes that were taking the Mickey out of Biden and if you can call it an administration, and the way that they've handled the whole Taliban affair. I mean, from really photoshopped articles on Millie in woke attire. It's actually been quite funny. I mean, it's tragic what's happening. But we are at war, and just from every perspective. I spoke to a good friend of mine today whose brother happens to I wonder if they got the ice cream from Pelosi's fridge.
Yeah, as you're speaking that, I had that in my stack of things to go over here today, and it's very fitting you bring that up, because even they know, folks, even they know just how weak Joe is at the end of the day. And there's some other stuff floating around out there, or some script of theirs saying, hey, you know, we're not going to negotiate with this weak guy. We know that Trump is the actual elected president. Matter of fact, they have gone so far as to call out Facebook for censorship. Let's put it that way. They know what's going on, probably better than some of the folks here in these United States, unfortunately. And that's somewhat terrifying, but it shows that they're in tune with what's going on, and the fact that, just like many of us know, the fraudulent election that took place, et cetera, they're well averse to what is going on. Cernovich says, between the comments about Facebook censorship, women's rights, and now this, yes, they are trolling Joe Biden with memes. Hashtag Taliban eat ice cream, hashtag Kabul, hashtag Afghanistan. Throwing it right back in his face. And there's all the pictures of Biden sitting there eating ice cream. At least he's not licking a window, I suppose, but hey, you get the point. Post-millennial says, when pressed on the issue of free speech.
Sorry, that has to be one of the funniest comments I've heard in a while. Thank you.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's other terms I could probably use that are probably a little bit more derogatory, like being a crayon eater or something along those lines. But hey, nonetheless, when pressed on the issue of free speech, Taliban spokesman points to Facebook and big tech censorship of Americans. So they're pushing it right back in the face, fully knowing what the heck is going on here. And oh, by the way, Babylon Bee had to get in on this as well, since Trump sneaks back on Twitter by disguising himself as a Taliban spokesperson. So now we got Hamid Trumpistan joining Twitter. And that's the old Babylon Bee for you. And that's exactly what we should be doing right now. We should be making a mockery of these idiot asses, fully exposing them for the frauds that they are. And they can't stand it.
They can't handle it either, because fear is their currency. We know that. And the minute you start mocking them, it's something that they don't A, expect, and B, don't know how to handle.
They can't handle humor. And thank God the left can't meme either. They suck at memeing. We do such a fantastic job of taking information that you would see on a broadcast or in an article, putting it over top of a video or a picture and putting some words to it, throwing it out there and letting the public discourse run its course on that. And people get it. They absolutely get it. And it's absolutely why we saw, especially before the election back November of last year, why they went to such pains to get people like General McChrystal out there to get after how do they stop the spread of memes that are truthful in nature. And it's a medium that all people understand first and foremost. You can take a very complex topic and boilerplate it down into something so very simple that immediately you have to be able to get it. And they just don't get it. And it's also why they had to go through the pains of having AI detect all these memes and put that into their algos now at Twitter and Facebook to stop the flow of that sort of information, because it was so damn effective.
It's hugely effective. I mean, if you just look at where we've come from, even from February, post-election, post January 6th, I got booted off Twitter. I didn't have a massive following, but I had roughly 5,000. And I think there were a lot of small accounts like me that were actually consistently firing at them. And while they first took out the big accounts, I found that there were enough of us small accounts that were being effective and spreading the message. And then there was a big giant, that purge, if you want to call it that. And it took us a while to regroup, a couple of weeks, maybe 2 months or 6 weeks, whatever it was. But we're back and we're firing from very many different platforms. Well, and they can't handle it.
And think of it this way. You as somebody who has been in the military probably understands warfare a little bit, but usually you don't send everybody in the first round of warfare in the first brigade. You may send in a battalion of folks, however many is in that battalion, and then you're going to send in reinforcements in behind, a second line, a third line, as you advance down the field per se. The same is true of this digital war of ideas that we find ourselves in. It doesn't matter if you're talking, what happened back in October of last year before the election, all the big accounts getting wiped out of YouTube, off of Facebook, off Twitter. We'll consider them the front lines, let's say. And then you've got the reinforcements and that in behind who have been building steam behind that, gathering our own followings and whatnot, reinforcing that front line. And when they fell, here we come. And then it's just perpetual. It's just wave after wave after wave. We rebuild, retool, keep coming. And we're not going to stop either.
I've got family that live in the UK, and it's been amazing what they've been sending back to me. Most of the stuff I've seen and we probably aware of, but it's refreshing to see news articles that perhaps are 2-3 months old that somehow they've come across, or a joke or a meme. But what's really encouraging, so you asked me originally what was the good news, and I think that is the good news. You know,
the message is getting out.
Yeah, the message is getting out, and it's even getting through to people who perhaps don't want to admit it. For example, I never wear, it's mandatory to wear a mask in South Africa, and it's punishable by a couple of months in prison if you don't obey. And the other thing is, you probably going to get a fine in the region. I'm just trying to convert it to dollars, but roughly about $100 for not wearing a mask. Which is, yeah, I mean, for the average person out there, it's a lot of money. But I walk probably about 6 kilometers every other day, and I never wear a mask. I refuse to wear one. I wear a bandana around my neck, and not one person has said anything to me in the past month. Not one. Despite those that continuously wear those face nappies, you know, I'm not seeing any negative reaction. I think the only reaction I saw was from a lady that I walked pretty close to, and she turned her head away from me. That's the only reaction I've seen in a month.
You dirty germ carrier, you.
Exactly. So I think it's almost those that are wearing masks and pretty left-leaning folk, they almost can't believe that we will not comply.
Well, it's time that they recognize what their actual freedom is and learn and assert their rights, because if they don't, then they're going to probably die by the sword, as has many of folks in the past under the likes of Mao Zedong, Joseph Stalin, under the Führer, etc., etc. Apparently, these folks do not know their history or the hoot.
No, sadly, that's largely why we're in this position in the first place, is because people have no concept of what happened in the past. Nothing whatsoever. And perhaps I was fortunate enough to wake up a long time ago to the fact that we manipulated, and it's from my time in the military. I was fortunate enough to be an officer in the intelligence corps, and a lot of things happened that actually I didn't understand at the time, but it didn't take me too long to figure out that we were just cannon fodder, and we were just there to be used and abused by the powers that be. And despite the fact that those powers were certainly not only from our own country. So, yeah, I think this history's been going on a while. I lived a very lonely life in certain respects, despite having many, many friends and acquaintances, but I never used to verbalize a lot of what I thought. And then I started becoming a bit forward when it came to the Iraq war. And I couldn't figure out, I mean, 9/11 certainly didn't make any sense to me. And I was astounded by how so many apparently intelligent people couldn't see beyond the smoke and mirrors, and couldn't see the truth.
Well, and part of it is too, I think, that people just generally don't pay attention. They likely know that stuff is wrong, but they choose to walk away because they don't either want to get involved or tired of it, the BS and that, and they just flat out tune it out.
And also that they don't think they can make a difference, I think.
Yeah, there's an element to that too, and it's the wrong approach, unfortunately, because the funny thing about politics is this: even if you want to tune it out, they don't care. They're still going to come after you regardless of whether or not you tune them out. They still want to try and come after what little rights you may have and try and control your life all the way through. And as we've watched this thing unfold over the last several years, man, and I'll back this up and say for hundreds of years for them to get to this particular point in time as they try and make their last ditch effort to put us all under totalitarianism worldwide. The boiling frog situation certainly is apparent, but some folks might have been caught by surprise, who have been distracted by take your pick. Doesn't matter if you're talking football, basketball, baseball, whatever pastime it is, you name it. Until they started politicizing that and made it so egregious and so gross to even watch because everything was so politicized that they had to take notice. And that's how politics works, is that they're going to come after every single thing that you love, pervert it, destroy it until you subject to them. And the question is, are you going to fall in lockstep or are you going to make a big stink about it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so at the end of the day, I guess, as we are in this particular period in time,
I'm going to go into Foxhole onto the 5x5 just to check that way. Okay,
folks, perhaps we're back. Looks like YouTube's up, DLive's up, Foxhole's up,
okay, cool.
Trovo's up, Twitch coming along. All right, looks like maybe. All right. Looks like we may be to the good again.
I actually just also lost all audio for a couple of seconds.
Yeah, Foxhole takes a second here. I seem to have backed up over the previous segment that we did, I guess, before we were knocked off the previous time. So I think I don't know, Foxhole does a funny business there.
I actually put something in the chat. The Epoch Times came out with an article on General Milley
Mm-hmm.
that we were talking about, and he says nobody could have predicted what would happen. Yeah, I mean, really.
That's like saying none of the economists could have ever predicted the fact that the NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange was going to fall, right? Isn't that always the case?
Exactly. I mean, it was quite interesting. I actually, somebody sent me, you may have seen it, but have you seen the Julian Assange in 2011 when he talks about Afghanistan?
I haven't seen the Julian Assange one, but I did see some articles 10 years ago where Ron Paul was speaking on the floor of the House talking exactly about what was going to happen. And of course, he bit it right on the money 10 years ago. Says we got no business being here, and pretty well has come to bear.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually share this on the screen, and hopefully just tell me if the sound is good.
Yeah, just make sure to hit the button at the bottom left to share sound.
Okay.
Because the goal is not to completely subjugate Afghanistan. The goal is to use Afghanistan to wash money out of the tax bases of the United States, out of the tax bases of European countries, through Afghanistan and back into the hands of a transnational security elite. That is the goal, i.e. the goal is to have an endless war, not a successful war.
So
yeah.
we know that there's a whole lot of reasons. What strikes me as quite interesting is that there's reports and I got a couple of them yesterday and today that on the borders of Serbia and Greece, there's between 3.5 and 5 million refugees waiting.
Yeah. And the question is where are they going to put all those folks, right? I think the
Exactly.
latest figure we saw here, and maybe you guys have some figures down your way, I don't know, but the last figure I saw is that they're willing to accept 30,000 refugees. So we'll get some line jumpers and that. And I'm sure they've all been vaxxed, and I'm sure by the photos and that we saw of all these folks running beside the C-17, they're all going to be masked up as they come in and probably tested, just like all the other folks pouring across the border at this point.
Yes, and they won't be given $1,200 as they arrive.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah.
$1,200. And let's see, for all you folks on unemployment, Nancy Antoinette in front of her little stash of ice cream says, you little plebes will get $300 a week. Let that sink in, folks.
And not only that, they get free medical. And I think they get put up in various establishments that a lot of the homeless people would only beg to live in. So we're seeing this from where I sit, which is perhaps often an advantage, because sitting afar and watching what's happening everywhere, you're seeing the UK government reacting in the same way, looking to take refugees in, the EU. This is playing right up their alley. This is what they want. So in a way, a lot of this that's happened seems to be very orchestrated, in my opinion. So it's almost as if what they've done is, I think Biden's going to be the fall guy, but it's actually going to achieve what the globalists want. And that's a massive dilution of the populations of Europe and the US. Whether they ultimately achieve it or not, well, we'll see. But that's part of their aim, certainly. No doubt.
Yeah, I saw an interesting article come through here today. I think it was Michael Snyder over at the Most Important News, does the Economic Collapse blog as well as End of the American Dream blog. But he pontificated and wondered, I'm trying to find it amidst my stuff here. Is Afghanistan the thread that unravels Western's dreams of a new world order? And it was an interesting read, and I'll just say this, and that's, I don't know if you caught the beginning part of our show here today or not, if we weren't buffering or down or what have you, but I'm going to talk a little bit about more of this tomorrow night, and it's a question that I've got in the back of my mind, and it is this: the whole Build Back Better stuff, right? Obviously, Joe throws that out there all the time, and of course we hear a lot of the Western leaders not say that. You've heard Bojo say it. You've heard a number of folks across Europe say it. You have that side of the argument from the West, and then from the East, of course, over the last several years, many of you have heard us discuss what has been going on with China and the whole One Belt, One Road, the Silk Road, or the Belt and Road Initiative. The question is it an argument at this point of the Build Back Better versus Silk Road, or is it two sides of the same coin?
I think it's two sides of the same coin.
And I would agree. And the question is this just a case where they're trying to, frame this Overton window, if you will, of have the lively debate of which of these systems we're going to choose, as if we want to choose either one, because they both suck, in my opinion, and have a lively debate? Or should we, the people, collectively, not just here in these United States, but worldwide, give the big middle finger to both systems and say, no, why don't we as a nation just take control of our own resources, do as we see fit? And if we want to barter or trade with any other country, then like what Trump set out to do when he came into office and gave the big middle finger to the Trans-Pacific Partnership and the Atlantic Treaty, similar treaty in that for the European nations, and just do bilateral agreements, nation versus nation, and establish trade that way. Why do we even have to have the discussion of Build Back Better versus, say, the Silk Road?
Well, if you think about it, the Chinese share a border with Afghanistan of roughly about 70 kilometers.
Mhm.
So what would that be? Probably 50 miles, and give or take. And what's interesting is that none of the refugees are running to China.
I wonder
Yeah.
why that is.
Yeah, perhaps what's happening with the Uyghurs might actually push a few of the Taliban away. But notwithstanding that, what's quite interesting is, and if you come back to South Africa in terms of resources and is potentially one of the top 10 richest countries in the world, without doubt. And yet we have people who don't have food to eat. We've got unemployment sitting at 50%. Officially, I think it's 28, but it's probably closer, even now after this scamdemic, probably in excess of 50%. We have at every traffic light, I actually probably carry about $10 worth of coins. So I've got something to give at every single traffic light I get stopped at. Okay, whether it's probably 50 US cents or more, whatever the case may be. I ensure that I leave home with that at least a whole bunch of coins in my hand, if not loaves of bread. Sometimes I just put loaves of bread on the passenger seat and just dish them out instead of cash. But we living in a country where the majority of people aren't getting enough nutrition, aren't getting any health care, and the government's wanting to jab them. The government hasn't improved at all since the ANC's come into power in '94. The water, the access to water is, and I see similar patterns evolving throughout the world.
Like desalination.
Exactly. Water supply, shortage of food. There's a particular brand of chocolates, sweets that come from the UK, where we used to manufacture those very same things here under license. But there's now starting to be different kinds of shortages at the supermarkets. And it's quite interesting because this is not just a South African phenomenon. It's something that's starting to creep in worldwide.
And it's by design too.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the patterns are becoming too obvious. So again, going back to, there is some good news here, is that people are recognizing this. They're seeing it for what it is. And interestingly enough, people are standing up against, we had violence recently, as you're quite aware, about a month ago in South Africa. People banded together across the color bar. It didn't matter who you were, what color you were, what religious affiliation you were, but people stood up against the machine. And that's what stopped it dead in its tracks. I know that they're going to have another go. I know that they want to have this almost organized chaos that we've seen in Afghanistan throughout the world. But somehow I don't think they're going to be able to achieve it because they've been pushing too hard.
Yeah. Yeah. To me, it largely depends on whether or not the people are going to stand up. And perhaps, I don't know if this Afghanistan deal will be the linchpin to that. If you tuned into the front half of the broadcast today, amidst all the buffering, amidst all the ups and downs, restarts, et cetera, where we were talking about some of the vets in that who are watching in dismay of what has happened, the calamity. And of course, this is by design, folks, because Trump had this well under control, leaving assets behind, the raping and pillaging of gold out of the central banks that's sitting here in the New York Fed. The trillions in minerals and that China stands to gain as they bring the Taliban in the fold under the Silk Road stuff, take your pick. Uh, Eventually it's going to come to this. Are the people going to have enough of this and say, we're going to throw off the bans that we're supposed to do as declared in our Declaration of Independence and our Constitution here? If we ever get to that point, we'll rally right behind the folks and that who wish to take lead on that. And we can do this diplomatically or, not. Let's put it that way.
What was quite, hello, Sunny Days. The Homesteader made a very valid point about a week ago. He said something which actually struck a chord with me because it's true. He said the US came into the First World War late, came into the Second World War late, where a lot of, and we're seeing that because in Europe at the moment, if obviously the mainstream media is not showing it, but we are seeing masses of people standing up against all kinds of things. And I saw an article today which actually, I thought, you know what, this is really possible, that the first country might be France that actually, that's victorious against the machine.
Well, and think back to before the COVID days. What was going on worldwide that was really gaining steam?
Gilets jaunes, the
yellow vests everywhere. UK, France, Germany, you name it. Hong Kong, big numbers. Do you think the media actually showed any of that stuff going on? Oh, hell no, of course not. Then all of a sudden, let's wheel out the old bag of tricks called COVID here and put everybody on lockdown, frighten the people to death and say you should be scared of this thing that you cannot even see. And mysteriously, all the yellow vest movement stuff just went by the wayside. Now, under the rubric of this scamdemic, the rolling out of vaccine cards, and like you said, even in France here today, reading an article where they are trying to put vaccine passports and things in place, and have bars and pubs and restaurants and that say, well, you need to do this, this, and this before you allow people in. They're saying, no, we're not going to do that. And the first day that they rolled that out, there was nobody at any of these establishments. Why? Well, chances are people were afraid to go out. And so many of these pub owners, restaurant owners, and that are saying, well, we're just not going to do it. Otherwise, it's to our own peril.
I'm going to share a picture, which is actually amazing. I was so, I've got no French blood in me, but I was really, I felt for the people. I thought it was brilliant. And it was a picture that really filled me with hope. And there we go. And at the bottom it says France may be the first country, they may be the first to take back their country. I mean, look at the amount of people out there. That's
where is this at? Is this in Paris?
In Paris, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, look at that. That's one mass of humanity. And they're not taking it anymore.
Well, you remember back during the Yellow Vest movement, as the people on that were encroaching on where Macron stayed, he had folks at the ready and a helicopter at the ready if things ever got to the point where he needed a jettison.
And again, there was a letter from the generals telling Macron that he was actually on the verge of treason against the people of France. And then there was another more recent article about a bunch of colonels that I always think of Gaddafi when I think of colonels, but there were a bunch of military that were saying that enough is enough. And what also encouraged me, because again, it happened in the US, was when that four-star general came up and said his Marines would not be subjected to a mandatory vaccine. So it does appear that the military are now standing up and saying enough is enough in one form or another.
Yeah, and I think that story may or may not be discredited. I'm not sure based on the source it came from. So it remains to be seen whether or not the Marines are indeed in lockstep with all the rest of the military underneath the Pentagon and that. But keep in mind, for those here stateside, that the Marines report directly to the president. They are not under the diktats, if you will, underneath the Pentagon. So it could very well be that, but one of the few places we saw that is not necessarily one of the better sources in that for information, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, hope springs eternal, as they say.
Yeah, certainly. Well, KB, it's top of the hour here. Apologize for all the difficulties we've had here. Appreciate you joining us. Sunny days. I see you're in house here. Hopefully you're here to bring a little bit of cheer on the day.
I'll try. Hi, nice to meet you, KB.
Nice to meet you too. I actually love your spirit. It's beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Well,
That's kind.
Let's just say that her hour is probably going to be the hour that will actually stay up for the longest here today. Because given the last 2 hours of shenanigans, I think we've dealt with it all.
All
Perhaps,
right.
Sunny days, you could say a little prayer for all of us around the world.
I will do that. In fact, I do that. Yeah.
Yeah. We're all in this together, yeah?
Yes, absolutely.
So know that there's many people around the world. I'm speaking from South Africa, but we really think that the place for us to win is in the US, because it is the last bastion of freedom. And we've had all our freedoms removed, yet we still fight. We're not people that are sitting back and expecting somebody else to get us out of the trouble. But we know, I think the tipping point really will be when the election fraud becomes known, and the extent
Next week.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's when it all happens. I think that is exactly what the dark side are trying to avoid, and perhaps this Taliban and all the shenanigans that we are seeing out in Afghanistan are an attempt at some kind of distraction. But I really do think when the election fraud becomes widely known, that's when I feel that we will have won.
Did you get a chance, KB, to watch any of the symposium last week, by the way?
Yes, I watched most of it.
Okay.
Yeah. I know that there were some people that were saying that it was a little negative because, they didn't get what they ultimately wanted and there wasn't a knockout punch. But I thought that there was sufficient out there to, what encouraged me was the number of states that were represented in one form or another at that symposium. I thought that was really encouraging.
I think from a goal perspective, I think Mike Lindell would probably call that a success. Now, as far as the information, the PCAPs and all that stuff, that's a little bit, in my mind, subjective. Yes, Lindell says that he's got the data, but we definitely know there was all sorts of shenanigans going on around the symposium from day one at the start, where they got knocked offline, had to go to backup channels. Didn't matter if you were watching on Frank Speech, Lindell TV, OAN, Newsmax, you name it. They had their share of problems, but I think from that perspective, they probably assembled a pretty decent team to do a little counter intel on that. And I think they got what they needed out of it.
I really was encouraged. I was initially, I know he's so enthusiastic and he's a good man and a patriot. But, I think somebody spoke into his ear after the first day, and then he backed off and allowed other people to do and lead the charge, which I thought was clever and well done. But the information that came out, I think, was pertinent. I think people who are paying attention, to borrow your phrase, should be encouraged, because it looked like there was more of a groundswell of people coming to the fore and more acceptance, even in the mainstream media, that perhaps there might be something there. and obviously they're not going to admit anything like that. But there's been more and more news about it. And I think we shouldn't be too distracted about what's happening in the rest of the world, because I think that's what they want us to do, is not pay attention.
I think there was a lot going on behind the scenes, and God had some other plans for that symposium. I think some of the relationships developed and the things that we aren't seeing, things that maybe happened in the spirit that day and continue to happen. I have hope in that.
Me too. I think also, it is a war. And to borrow an overused phrase, we are in the fog of war. So things don't always go out the way we plan them. And my late father always used to say, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. So, it doesn't always go the way we would like, but ultimately I think there's an optimistic spirit that's gaining momentum, and that really encourages me. For one of the first times in a long time, I'm seeing that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and that light is not an oncoming train. So, hope and pray.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, sunny days. I'll get out of your hair.
Okay. Guys, have
Thanks,
a great
bud.
evening.
Nice
Take
to
care.
have met you, and thanks, Breaking. It's been great speaking to you once again.
I'll see you
God
soon.
bless.
Take care.
You too.
All right. Hey, everybody. Hi, live chat. Hi, Twitch, Foxhole, Trovo, YouTube, and DLive. If I missed one, I apologize. So I'm going to do my thing that I do with clips. And that just jumped. I hate that when it jumps. I just saw breaking 911 1 minute ago. Multiple students reported shot at a South Carolina high school. Here's what we know. So that's breaking news. Multiple students were struck by gunfire outside Orangeburg Wilkinson High School on Wednesday, according to police. Someone
deserve to live. The coming debt crisis and worldwide famine will see how fit you are to survive and resist complying with their system.
So me and my coworker.
And that's where it cuts off. Just because I play a clip does not mean I believe everything I see in that clip. That clip is just something I came across, which I found interesting. It's up to you to decide what's true and what's not for you. I'll just show clips that I've come across, and I like to listen to different people's perspectives. Now, someone in DLive chat was asking, why does she keep stopping and starting it? If I think something's licensed or might get us a hit on YouTube, I'll stop it because it helps, I think, with the algorithms, but it also helps with copyrighted material and then not dinging us. YouTube's important for Soko because she is still reaching people in other countries on YouTube. It's easier for them to watch on YouTube than some of the other platforms. So that's my reasoning for that. So moving on, and some of the clips do cut off. I don't know what that is about. If it's something to do with those clips on TikTok and then being posted on Twitter and they only have so much space or something. I'm not sure what that is about. So I found this clip and I found it interesting. I've held this since August 2nd, or it was tweeted out August 2nd. So it's been a little while, but we have been deceived and manipulated in every walk of life, this woman tweets. Taxes are no exception. Income tax is an illegal scam. There is no law stipulating you must pay income tax. Thought that was interesting.
There is no law, and nobody has been able to show that there is a law for the average American citizen working day in and day out to pay an income tax.
But We the People Foundation for Constitutional Education put a full-page ad in the USA Today on July 7th, 2000. And within the body of that ad was a $50,000 challenge for anyone that could show the law. And to me, $50,000 is a lot of money. So I went after that. and did the research based on the fact that I thought, let's put this baby to bed. I'm hearing all these rumors. I'm going to kill two birds with one stone. I'll answer these people's questions that are asking me, and then I'll win this $50,000. And, based on the research that I did throughout the year 2000 and that I'm still doing, I have not found that law. I've asked Congress. We've asked a lot of people in the IRS commissioners, helpers. They can't answer, because if they answer, the American people are going to know that this whole thing is a fraud.
There is no law. There is no law that requires the average American worker in the private sector to pay a direct unapportioned tax on their labor and compensation for services. There is no law.
I really expected that, of course there's a law that you can point to in the law book, the code, that requires you to file a tax return. Of course there is. Maybe I don't know what it is right then as he was speaking to me, but sure. So naively, I agreed to go off and research it and get back to him. 3.5 months later, I was at that point where I couldn't find the statute that clearly made a person liable, at least not me and most people I know, and I had no choice in my mind except to resign.
I had to leave the IRS because I presented evidence that I had accumulated indicating that the agency was violating the law and violating people's rights. And I asked the agency for a response to my sincere concerns. And the answer I got was that they would not respond to my concerns and that they would provide me with the paperwork necessary to tender my resignation.
You can look through the statutes and look for the law that requires you to pay. And when you do that, you can't identify a law that requires the average.
There is no.
So that clip cuts off there. I just found that interesting. I don't know if that's real or true, but oh my gosh, it's kind of crazy. They're saying they're ex-IRS agents and lawyers and they can't find the law. Ah, yes, this thing that we are born into. This is just a clip of a little kid laughing, sleeping and laughing. So cute to be so young and innocent. I don't think I laugh much in my sleep anymore. If I get sleep. Last tweeted this out. There's no shortage, just downright evil. 30/30 bill. Bullshit.
I'm hearing cries across the United States. The Biden administration introduced the 30/30 bill, saying that it is a climate change bill, a conservation bill. But if you look deeper and if you really research what they're trying to do in Nebraska, it is disgusting. Why the hell does the government want 1.16 million acres in Nebraska? Because 97% of Nebraska is privately owned, so they're taking from farmers and ranchers and hardworking Americans. And by 2030, they want to take 680 million acres across the United States, kill family farms, control the food supply, control the people.
So devious, if it's true, which my personal belief it is true. I think we've seen it, or I've seen enough that I do believe it's true. This is a tourist accidentally dropped her sunglasses in an orangutan enclosure at the zoo. I might have played that one before. I'm going to skip that one. Bill Gates responds to social media.
The social media plus a pandemic is a combination that's never been tried before. And, nobody would have predicted that I and Dr. Fauci would be so prominent in, really kind of evil theories about, did we create the pandemic? Are we trying to profit from it?
Oh my gosh.
And on.
To pick such goofballs to head up their program was half their problem and trying to brainwash us. this guy is not a doctor or an expert.
And so, I'm very surprised by that. I hope it goes away. This percentage that's really misled by these conspiracy theories, it's unclear to me. There's millions of messages out there.
It's so unclear to him. And he wishes it would go away. Got news for you, buddy. It's not going to go away.
My name or Dr. Fauci's name is used, but do people really believe that stuff? We're going to have to get educated about this over the next year and understand, how does it change people's behavior? How should we have minimized this, either, working with the social media companies or explaining what
I don't know, Bill. Please explain it to us and try to brainwash us some more. We don't get what you're trying to do. Even when you tell us in videos about depopulating the earth and the different, in my opinion, the different things you've done in different countries where they really don't like you at all.
From the foundation's point of view, the fact that he took that rescission of the global vaccine money, which, is super, super important. The fact he rejoined the WHO, the fact that he's appointed smart people, the fact that Dr. Fauci will not be suppressed.
Smart
take
people.
Full advantage of Francis Collins and Dr. Fauci, who are wonderful people. In terms of the epidemic, it sometimes felt like they were the only sane people in the U.S. government.
Coming from Bill. So do what you will with that. Found that interesting. This is kind of interesting. Okay, well, I'll just play it.
I was watching TV the other day, and this show comes on with these. They were crazy. Well, you would think they were crazy if you didn't understand their culture and their religion. See, that's just the thing. They were worshipers of idols, and they took things to extremes. They painted their bodies. They wore these ridiculous costumes. They chanted, they danced, they made sacrifices to
I'm not sure who Skit Guys is. I've never heard of them before, but that's who apparently made this video.
They had built these enormous temples to worship their idols in. It seemed like their entire existence climaxed into this one scenario, this one over-the-top act of worship. You don't really relate, do you? Let's try it again. I was watching TV the other day, and this show comes on with these religious fanatics. They were crazy. See, that's just the thing. They were worshipers of idols, and they took things to extremes. They painted their bodies. They wore these ridiculous costumes.
Kind of interesting, makes you think.
They chanted, they danced, they made sacrifices to their idols. They had built these enormous temples to worship their idols in. It seemed like their entire existence climaxed into this one scenario, this one over-the-top act of worship. Idol worship. It's not just about golden calves anymore.
Wow. I thought that was kind of interesting, made me think. This was tweeted out by Jewish Deplorable. CNN stalked and chased a doctor while he was riding his bike for questioning the vaccine. So this is a CNN person, and the doctor is Dr. Mercola, who now, when he writes his articles, I believe this to be true yet, that they have gone after Dr. Mercola so badly that when he does articles, he only leaves them up for maybe like 24 to 48 hours, I believe. Because they have hounded him so much and threatened him.
Mercola house behind a large gate and tried making contact through the security access pad.
Hello, this is Randy Kay from CNN. I'm hoping to get a word with Dr. Mercola.
Later, we spotted Joseph Mercola riding his bicycle. Once he stopped, we thought this was our opening to get some answers as to why he's pushing false claims about masks
Coming from
and the
CNN,
vaccine.
that is rich, of course, pushing false claims. Just saying.
How are you? I'm Randy Kay with CNN. Can we ask you a couple questions? We just want to talk to you about vaccines and what you've been saying about them. Do you feel responsible for people who didn't get vaccinated, possibly got sick and died because of what you told them about the vaccine?
I don't know, CNN, do you feel responsible for the things that you've done about the vaccine and people have possibly gotten hurt and died? Oh my gosh.
What do you say to families who lost loved ones? Are you spreading misinformation? Nope. Why won't you speak to us? Here's your opportunity to speak with us and answer questions.
So despite all his bravado online, Mercola suddenly had nothing to say.
Who would want to speak to CNN? Very, very few people go on your shows anymore because you twist their words, in my opinion. Moving on. That I did give you my opinion on. Let's see. So this was, so you may understand more clearly, not only is the government to blame, this person posts, 4-year-old is denied medical care because of the missing mask. They are calling the police. These people just as much to blame for participating in the experiment. They are not just sheep, but active participants. Some people do feel that way.
Debbie, I will be filling this out because you're violating my rights. Do you understand that?
This is our company policy.
It's your company policy?
I'm not doing
So you guys don't care about my child being seen? No, that's what it comes down to. You do not care about my child being seen.
We're making no comments.
And you took off your name badge.
We are making no comments.
Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? The Senate will have a good time with this. And there are senators fighting this right now. And you can call the cops on me, that's fine, but you're the one violating my civil rights. Do you understand that?
We're making no comments.
Yes?
We're making no comments.
And
Please
you will all rest in hell. Yes, you will.
I can see it from both sides. It just sucks. Let's see. I think I'm going to skip that one and let's try this one.
You want to see back to show you.
If Dr. Anthony Fauci thought Rand Paul was mad at him, wait until the animal activists see this. A new report shows that under Fauci's direction, the National Institute of Allergies and Infectious Disease funded painful and deadly experiments on dogs to the tune of more than $400,000. According to the
I hope you can hear that okay. It's kind of light on the volume, but he funded experiments on dogs.
White Coat Waste Project, researchers used biting flies to infect dozens of healthy beagles with parasites to test an experimental drug. Records show the dogs endured months of pain, and once researchers were done with them, they were killed. Here to react, Laura Logan, host of Laura Logan Has No Agenda on
Anybody who can harm an animal intentionally and then watch them suffer is satanic. And this is who we're trusting for health advice for us and for our children. Shutdowns, masks, really? Wow.
So there was that. I'm not doing a great job of a very sunny show. It gets better, I think. Some of these are hard to watch, but some of it is the spirit of these people speaking up is what I like about it too. So this is supposedly in Mexico, and we're looking at that right there.
Yo, look at that. Look at everybody in the highway right now. I don't know, bro. Ni idea. I mean, no se mueve de ahí. Yeah, that's crazy. No.
I wonder what that is. It is odd looking. Let's see.
All right, you got awesome.
I'll take the taco supper. The taco meal.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
That looks amazing.
It's like it could be maybe for 3.
That eating taco.
Oh my gosh.
Woo! On that last viral video was not it. Let me first of all start off by saying that. And I normally don't give these people any time of day, but I think this person needs to hear what I have to say. Maybe you don't know our story, so let me share with you how our black son came to be with us, okay? Our oldest son was volunteering with our church at a residential facility. Whenever he walked into our house one night with huge alligator tears in his eyes, and he said, "Mom, I met someone that we need to help." My first reaction was not, what color is he or she? My first reaction was, what do we need to help? What do we need to do? He had these big alligator tears and he said, I met someone that needs a place to live and he needs a family. And if I have to pay for my own college education, I will do that, Mom, but we need to help. That's the way it's supposed to be. When we have someone that is in front of us that has a need, it does not matter and it should not matter what color that they are. If we are able to, we should help because we are all human. Now, do we know that Hakeem's black and that we're white? Absolutely we do. Do we know that we have some physical differences because of the pigment of our skin? Yes, we do. Do we know that we have some cultural differences because of the color of our skin? Yes, we do. And we don't ignore those facts. But with the way that I raise my children is I teach my children how to love and respect others, no matter their color, no matter their race, no matter where they've come from. It doesn't matter if they have a lot or they don't have a lot. The way that I raise my children is to, whenever they see a need, that they help in that need. Our family wasn't looking to adopt, first of all, okay? Our family wasn't even looking to foster. This need just came to us. We were not looking for that. My husband and I were struggling drastically in our marriage at that point in time. And it was not easy. But do you know that we had never even met Hakeem? Aside from Brandon, none of us had ever even met Hakeem whenever we decided to let him become a part of our family. And I'm not saying because I want you to be like, oh, praise her, praise her. No, I'm saying this because you need to know what it's supposed to look like when someone's in need and they need to be helped. And it wasn't just a struggle for us. It was a struggle for him too. He had been bounced around from family to family, and he needed a family to step in and to love him. That's what he needed, and that's what we were able to provide for him. So as far as you saying that my black son won't know anything because he's raised by white people, here's what I want you to know. He already knows far more than you do. He is loving, and he is respectful, and he knows how to treat people. And he is absolutely...
And that's where it cut off, but... I like that story. Someone says, this is going to be bigger than the Tea Party.
And I come to make some proclamation.
Oh, this is a fox. I think I'm going to skip this one just because it's going to take a little bit to get through that if I have to stop it every 25 seconds. This was from Viral Hog, a sloth petting a beagle. Are such weird animals, but they're so cool. That is so wild. It doesn't seem to be hurting the dog. It does seem to be kind of like checking it out and kind of almost petting it. That could hurt, poking it like that. Sweet. Oh, it went to sleep. It's so calmed. The sloths are fascinating to me. I would love to see one. Cool. Let's see. Oh, I thought this was really interesting. It's Severe Studios audio up a crazy brief wild tornado near Mineral Point, Wisconsin. Listen to the suction vortex and watch the bottom of the screen.
GoPro. Keep it center. Where'd it? There it is. Oh my gosh. You hear that? Do you hear the sound of that?
It's pretty wild. Nature. I don't actually know who this is, but I thought it was a funny commercial that he did. He said there's a lot of, it's Alex Bruesewitz. He's a CEO of X Strategies LLC, advisor to conservative politicians, public figures, and organizations. Again, I don't know who this is, but there's a lot of misinformation going around about me hating rhinos that couldn't be further from the truth. I do, however, hate rhinos, and I need your help to remove all rhinos.
My name's Alex Bruesewitz, and there's a lot of misinformation going around about me hating rhinos. And I'm making this video today to tell you that couldn't be further from the truth. I love rhinos like my friend Henry. Henry is the oldest Indian rhino in the world. He's a great guy. I do, however, hate rhinos, Republicans in name only, like Adam Kinzinger, Liz Cheney, Jamie Herrera Butler, Tom Rice, Lisa Murkowski, James Lankford, and many others. And along with some great candidates, we are going to make sure that this is the rhino's last term in Congress. We must remove all
chomping
rhinos,
sounds,
except for rhinos like Henry.
rhinos making.
Let's go, buddy.
Although I'd be
Hi
a
there.
little bit, even though he doesn't have his horn, I'd be kind of concerned about being that close to him. But let's see. I found this interesting storm chaser. Sometimes I'll just grab some of these posts that people put. Texas has a state law that allows any individual to gather any and all information regarding my child unless I opt out in writing within 10 days. This is what's known as a directory and includes my child's address, description, age, and photo, etc. What the actual frick is going on? I've heard this before about, certain websites having information like this. This is even more confusing. One, this is the online form for school registration, yet the paper does say our request must be written. Two, where does this appear in the source cited? So if you select no, your child's directory information will not be released to vendors or others who may be soliciting products and services. Yeah, interesting. All right. So Rising Serpent put out there, let me see if I understand this correctly. The same organization that tells pregnant women not to eat fish also encouraged them to get vaccinated with something they haven't even approved. Holy mackerel. FDA warns which fish to avoid when pregnant breastfeeding. Yeah. This is an old public service announcement, but it's from 1976, supposedly. So kind of interesting.
I had a flu shot last year. A swine flu epidemic may be coming.
Swine flu shot? Well, I don't know. I've been thinking about it.
It could make you very
The music.
Swine flu? Man, I'm too fast to let it catch me. You'll want to be protected.
I'm the healthiest 55-year-old you ever seen. Hey, I play golf every weekend.
Get a shot of protection. The swine flu shot.
The fear porn. At least that's what it reminded me of. Fear porn. Get rid of that. Let's see. Prager, you posted, when the whole world is running towards a cliff, he who is running in the opposite direction appears to have lost his mind. C.S. Lewis. Do you ever feel like that? Like you're the one who's like running the opposite direction and the whole world is running off the cliff. And you're like, yeah. These dogs are living their best life. Having fun. Must be like a doggy daycare. The animal clips just remind me of nature, God's goodness, that there's wonderful, beautiful things in the world, yet it helps me take my mind off of some of the stress of the politics and things going on. I'm going to skip that one. This was a good one, I thought.
More minorities for petty war? What if Trump never left his basement? What if Trump averaged 104 EOs per year? What if those first 42 EOs were in his first 4 months as president? What if Trump's public schedule showed he only worked 4 hours a day? What if Trump sniffed young children? What if Trump's sons had sex tapes? What if there were video of Trump's sons doing crack? What if his sons were never arrested for it? What if his sons illegally applied for gun permits? What if Trump's family had financial ties to foreign countries that wanted to hurt our country? What if Trump's campaigns were funded heavily by big tech, big pharma, and the CCP? What if Trump's children openly laundered money by becoming artists and selling art for more than Van Gogh or Picasso and then told you they couldn't divulge who their buyers were? What if Trump fell down the stairs of Air Force One 3 times in one climb? What if Trump opened the borders to give free healthcare, food, housing, and education to any and everyone that wanted to come, but didn't require them to pay taxes? What if Trump allowed those coming across the border to do so with children that were trafficked in order to make it through? What if this happened during a pandemic and he didn't require them to get tested, vaccinated, or even social distance, but he mandated that you and your children do? What if Trump required federal employees to take an experimental vaccine? What if Trump allowed your local governments to muzzle your children for over a year with no significant numbers or science to back it up? What if he did all of this and mandated those passports for everyone? What if Trump abolished the Keystone Pipeline along with American jobs only to ask foreign entities to increase their production so we could fund them? What if under Trump and these changes, gas prices rose 41%? What if food prices rose 5%? What if car prices rose 41%? What if Trump wanted to defund the police while it was trendy to say so, but then changed his tune when he realized how ridiculous it was? What if Trump claimed during his campaigns he was going to send $2,000 relief checks, but he only sent $1,400 and said, well, hey, the other guy already gave you $600? What if Trump promised over 1 million jobs but didn't even come close? What if Trump's presidency was proven to be stolen by foreign interference and the media wouldn't even show you the proof? What if local leaders involved in that cover-up tried hiding and deleting the evidence? What if you wanted to talk about your thoughts on Trump, but social media deleted your words every single time?
Yeah, what if? A lot of people are wondering, what if? Let's see. This is Tom McDonald.
Welcome to the first to know if your music video is going viral with Tom McDonald. First of all, you get all types of nice messages like these. Kill yourself. You're a f***ing fake, scared little blocking bitch with your bitch, the Canadian sucker, middle finger emoji. Worst rapper to ever live. Die. That's literally it. Just die. So if you're getting super friendly messages like that, your music video has 1.5 million views in just over 24 hours, chances are your music video is going viral. Welcome to the
Tom McDonald, if you haven't listened to some of his music, is a rap artist who does music about the woke culture, I guess you'd say. Some people like it, some people don't. I sure hope the press finds out what flavor ice cream Joe Biden is eating at this moment. Sure does seem like they are like all about his ice cream, isn't it? Let's see. think I'll move on. I thought this was kind of funny. I'll have to mute it because of the music, though. That's one way to mow your lawn. I don't know how he got that to. I don't know. Funny. All right. Pretty. I wish that would have lasted a little bit longer. This Clarity put out, it's astonishing that we rolled out a mass vaccination campaign unprecedented in human history, and the CDC decided not to track whether it's working. This one.
Religious exemption is receiving vaccinations. The healthcare provider shall leave blank Part 3 of the immunization record. The school shall keep the immunization record received from the healthcare provider confidential. The parents point out the potential risks to children's health. They say if parents do not know their child was vaccinated at school, they may not recognize vaccine adverse reactions. So
DC is getting sued over this. They were vaccinating the kids. They want to vaccinate kids without parental consult. I don't know if they've actually started doing that or not. But can you imagine, like, if the child has some adverse vaccination symptoms and you didn't even know?
Adverse reactions require immediate medical treatment and are contraindications to further vaccination. And if family doctors don't know the child received certain vaccines at school, they may administer additional shots too close in time. The parents are asking the court to stop DC from enforcing the law. Allison Lee, NTD News.
Crazy stuff happening for sure. Let's see. This was cute. There's no sound to it, I don't think. Aww. They're so cute. Hugs. I know, I'm kind of a sap, but that's me. I can't hide it. Oh, I'm going to skip that one. This person said, at first it's funny, but then you realize how sad it really is. Mask of the year. I will say this about masks. People can be really creative. That's for sure. And then this is another Tom McDonald. Most people can't handle the truth.
The whole day and age of misinformation, people are starving for the truth. So start spreading it. This is how I did my part. I wrote a song called Brainwashed about the different social, political, economic, racial, and religious tactics that they use to divide us. I recorded the song and my girlfriend shot me a music video. We ended up going #1 on iTunes over all major label artists in all genres. And the music video got 3 million views in 4 days. People are hungry for the truth. Go.
There's some hope. Wow. I don't think that's easy to do in the music world because you have to go around their, their machine. But let's see. Ever wonder about this? Serious question. Why are there no biohazard bins for used masks and gloves if the virus is so contagious and deadly? That's been one of those things I try to use on people to ask them questions. This is Tim Young. Tim runs his mouth.
I like to share personal things, but I wanted to take a moment and just talk with you guys about something that's been personally affecting my life for a couple of months. And it's it's a serious issue. I know a lot of people go through it, and I mean, it's been weighing on my heart. I just want to share it with you guys, and I hope you understand. And so here goes. I still laugh every time they call her Big Mike. Go buy my hat.
I still laugh every time they call her Big Mike.
Black versus white. 1 year is brown versus green. 1 year is this versus that. This year is vaccinated versus unvaccinated. Y'all not gonna help nobody. But I got an eye on this thing, and I come to tell the devil today, I know what you're up to. I know what scheme you got up your sleeve. I know what you're trying to do to the church of the living God. You're trying to keep us mad at each other, hollering at each other. We don't trust one another. We don't love one another.
Come on.
Anger in our heart and malice in our soul. And you don't love me because you didn't get vaccinated. And you don't love God because you got vaccinated. And you ain't got a mask on, so you don't love your neighbor. And you got a mask on, so you don't have no faith. Shut up in the name of Jesus. We are the body of Christ. If you want to get a shot, get a shot. If you want to wear a mask, get a mask. But let God be true and every man be a liar. Zoom in on my face. It doesn't matter how many times you invoke the name of Jesus. If you ran from Facebook bashing on people into the church to shout unto God, save your shout. Get to the altar, repent of the malice, and ask God to forgive you. It's time to stop the division.
Stop.
This was cute. Baby fox. That's cute. Wonder if they rescued it or something. A little baby fox. All right.
I'm proud of you. It's not easy going after your dreams. Even having the courage to risk it all in pursuit of your dreams. Just having the courage to risk it all while chasing your dream. Let alone fighting through all setbacks, obstacles, and naysayers on the way to your dream. It's not easy. That's why most settle. But you're not like the rest. That's why you're listening to this. And I just wanted to say I'm proud. I wanted to say that because I know most of you may have never have heard that. I wanted to say that not because you need a pat on the back. You're strong enough to succeed without any of that. Just to let you know you are unique. You are a rare breed, a strong individual. Keep doing your thing and don't let anything or anyone stop you from reaching that goal you have. You are a rare breed, and don't let anything or anyone stop you from reaching that goal you have.
That one I let run through. Hopefully the music wasn't licensed, but there wasn't any copyright or indication of who put that out. So I think maybe an individual did, hopefully. Let's see what this one is.
They are begging you.
Okay. I gotta say, I do love this one. It's Board of Supervisors meeting.
They are begging you, and they are blowing through your veins, and they should be putting a tingle up the spine of your back, and they should be begging you to do the right thing. You're about to open a pit of hell. You do not get a vaccine passport put on us. You know, as the population who's in control, you know that the people who are the politicians, once you get a power, you will never relinquish it. Do you think that the 4 feet of marble that holds you above high in this chamber will help you from the fate of humanity which you are unleashing? No! It won't! Your children and your children's children will be subjugated! They will be asked, how many vaccines have you had? Have you been a good little Nazi? Hail Fauci! Hail Fauci! Hail Fauci! Hail Fauci! There's been a lot of talk about the Nuremberg Code. Well, I brought you a copy. You are all in violation of Section 1. Yes, you, Dr. Wooten. You are in violation of the Nuremberg Code, which is international law, and the definition is...
Thank you, sir. Your time has expired.
The definition, we shall not be coerced. All of this is coercion. The vaccine passport is coercion, and the penalty for violating the Nuremberg Code is...
violating the orientation of the meeting. Please take a seat. Please take a seat.
I couldn't wait to get him out of there. I just thought he really let him have it and he really said what was on his mind. So I have a few of those. Let's see. I'm going to play this one. I found this interesting. You know, there's talk about med beds, and I really haven't seen any articles that I can, really vet or find a source, but I thought this was kind of interesting. So what you will, you believe what you want to believe. I don't know myself. I'm just looking at information. It could be something completely different.
What if I want to stop it or get claustrophobic? Ooh, you get a little button inside. So Joe, I'll close the pod, and when you're ready, you push the button to start it. Sounds good. How was that, Joe? Did you notice the spinning at all?
Didn't feel spinning at all.
And what does the pod do for you?
So it talks about addictions and physical, I don't know what that is. Vibrations? Oxygen? I don't know. Certainly interesting with all the science and things, the technology that they're working on. I wonder, let's see, there's 3 people that research med beds. There's information out there. I've tried and I haven't really seen anything that I thought was, scientific or whatever, but maybe there is. Maybe I'm not a great researcher. I've never claimed to be, but yeah, remember when this happened with Michael Jackson sleeping? Isn't that a hyperbaric chamber, with oxygen or something? I don't know. Just find it interesting. Let's see. I'm just going to play the end of this because, most of them say the same things. They have proof or the data, but I like the end of this one.
Oh, but then you wouldn't get your fraudulent federal dollars, right? You guys are dirty to the core. We have over 12,000 reported deaths in the U.S. alone from these shots, 12,000. All of this related death has been completely unnecessary. The meds that clearly work, hydroxy, ivermectin, budesonide, have been purposely suppressed. And the inept hospital protocol has been killing people.
Thank you, sir. Your time is up.
You're welcome. You should all be under arrest for mass murder.
I love these people are like telling it like it is. This is so sad when you think about it, when you put it into words. Don't look at anyone, don't touch anyone, don't talk to anyone, don't play with anyone, don't breathe fresh air, but most importantly, take your poison. Yeah, it's sad. This was in Wilmington, North Carolina. I'm almost out of time. I'll just play this last one. It's looks like a billboard that maybe got hacked. Or maybe it didn't get hacked. Maybe someone actually bought time on that billboard. Biden. All right. I bet Pixels is in the house. Are you here, Pixels?
I am here. What's going on, Sonny? Good to see you.
I was enjoying ranting on my clips today.
No, that was fantastic. That one guy with the dreads was like so pissed off he was red in the face. We need more of that. He was like bringing some Viking energy to it.
Awesome. That's good, Pixels. I never thought about that. Yeah, Viking energy. I liked that. He was gonna like finish what he said, and the Nuremberg Code, and love it.
Yeah, it was absolutely epic. So I'm thinking about how I want to frame my conversation with 412 Anon today.
Okay.
And I think what I'd like to do is talk about, because quite honestly, us in this movement and on the right, Trump supporters, have been given a political tactical nuke by this Afghanistan situation, and we need to use it, right? I see, and I'm hugely guilty of this. When this all went down in Afghanistan, I was devastated to see it happening, and it affected me in an emotional way where I was just angry, and I could not get my words together on the situation because I was so pissed off. But I think as a movement, we need to take a step back and really realize that we've been given a huge gift with this situation, right? We've been given a political weapon that hasn't been seen, the likes of which hasn't been seen in at least 50 years.
Right.
And we need to use this as a movement. Using this situation to attack this regime is so easy because it's so cut and dry. It's so out in the open. For goodness sakes, the Taliban now has billions of dollars worth of state-of-the-art military equipment because of this failure.
And it touches so many people because, who doesn't know a soldier? Who doesn't know or care about someone who served? Also, so your reaction was anger. My reaction is always sadness, just because that's my heart. Yeah. When I see those, the women and children being left behind and the missionaries and stuff, that I just cry. It just breaks my heart. I saw some videos on that today. And so it's a wide range of people. You're right, Pixels. I think it's hard hitting to people to wake them up or whatever, to talk or.
Yeah. And with this gigantic failure in the Middle East, right? Now across the world, these globalist loving governments, including our own, is cracking down on the people even more as it relates to COVID, restarting mask mandates, restarting vaccines, shutting their countries down. Hell, New Zealand just shut their entire country down over one COVID case.
Right.
I truly believe this is, if there's any moment, if there has been any moment up until this time where the people can finally see through the BS because it's so obvious and actually come together and stop fighting each other and instead fight these petty tyrants who are an enemy of us, whether we're on the left or whether we're on the right. These tyrant, globalist, deep state cucks are the enemy, and I think that's clearer than it's ever been. It is more clear than it's ever been, and we have a golden opportunity in front of us right now to unite as Americans and end this horse shit.
Go Pixels! Go Pixels!
So that is the conversation. I'd love to have a conversation in that light with Adel today. And
Hey,
speaking
Adel.
of Adel is here. What's up, my friend?
Oh, not too much. Just enjoying a wonderful Wednesday here in the movement on the Foxhole D Live. What's up, everybody?
I am currently putting the marshmallow on the stick, and we're gonna roast that screwball on this dumpster fire that we've been gifted by the deep state. That's my mood right now.
Awesome.
I've just been telling Sonny, Adel, we've been given a political tactical nuke, and we better use it.
Oh, absolutely.
We better use it. So that's the conversation that I'd like to have with you today.
All right, you guys. Well, roast those marshmallows. We'll talk later. Thanks. Bye.
See you later, Sonny. All right. How you doing today, Pixels?
I am, despite me standing so close to this dumpster fire that my face is now burned, I'm doing fantastic. I don't know. I'm just in a good mood somehow. Somehow I'm in a good mood, and I think it's because I'm realizing that we've been given a political cudgel the size of Manhattan. And all we have to do as a movement collectively is pick it up by the handle and slam it into the face of the deep state.
Oh, absolutely. I completely agree. I completely agree. I need to start the show off with a little something though. Hold on.
Let's do it.
This was sent to me by my good buddy Homesteader, and he said I have to play this on today's show. So, Pixels, I'm sorry. I'm very, very sorry for this.
If it's Tom MacDonald, you don't have to apologize because I love this son of a bitch. Oh yeah, it's me dancing to Tom MacDonald. Even better. Even better. No, this was the night that I made 100K gold pills on my show, and I was.
I wonder
elated.
why you're dancing. We can put that back down. I thought that was awesome. I missed that. I completely missed that somehow. But I thought that was awesome.
I wish you could have been in the live chat, man.
I wish I could have too, man. You want to play the intro?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do. Now that we got that out of the way, we'll play.
That's just a little something to get us started.
All right, guys, here we go. The New Guard starting in 3, a 2, a 1. Let's do this thing.
What they did to Portland, and nothing happens to Antifa, and nothing happens to BLM, but to people that are patriots or conservatives or Republicans, they stay in jails for extended periods of time, and they destroy their lives. Republicans must never waver in demanding that the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That election, our election, was over at 10 o'clock in the evening. We're leading Pennsylvania, Michigan, Georgia, by hundreds of thousands of votes. And then late in the evening or early in the morning, boom, these explosions of bullshit. And all of a sudden, it started to happen.
You are watching The New Guard here on the 5x5 Network, where your two favorite White Claw guzzling friends discuss the happenings of the day. Adel, take it away, my friend.
White Claw guzzling. Man, that makes me sound like a drinker. The thing is I get tipsy after like 3 or 4 of those things. So guzzling might be a strong word, but yes.
Hashtag Adel is a Hashtag Adel is a lightweight, and apparently I can't speak today, but that's okay.
I've been a lightweight for quite a while. I don't drink much anymore. I had my first sip of alcohol since leaving your house last night, Pixels.
I gotta admit, with everything going on in the world right now, that's impressive, my friend.
Yeah, I don't think I've had a sip of alcohol since I've left your house. However long ago that was. Doesn't feel like that long ago, but I know if I look at the calendar, it'll be like feel like forever ago. But
well,
anyway,
we already have another hangout session set for October. I guess we'll go ahead and announce that now.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe you guys can all expect another hilarious show with the two of us down here in the studio. That'll be fun.
Yeah, that'll be definitely be happening for sure. But yeah, welcome everybody to the New Guard here on the 5x5 network. For those of you that don't know who we are, which I doubt that's the case because, well, it's impossible to share anything anywhere anymore. But my name is Adel Nero. With me is my good friend Season Pixels, and we'll be hanging out with you till the top of the hour today, discussing the happenings around this crazy world right now. And where do you want to start? Do you want to start with? I mean, I have a bunch of stuff for my show. I can kind of go down the same road that I went down earlier. If you had something specifically that you want to cover, Pixels, we could start there too. It's kind of up to you how you want to kick this off.
Well, we couldn't make the show happen last week, so I feel like we should probably speak about this Afghanistan situation because we haven't gotten to have a conversation one-on-one on air about this yet.
Okay.
And so I think we should go ahead and start off with that, I guess. Here's a headline that just graced my screen not too long ago before we came on the show. From the Gateway Pundit, Biden effect, the U.S. lost several military aircraft that were flown out of Afghanistan. They have no idea how many were lost. You want to talk about incompetence?
It's not incompetence. It's on purpose.
It is. And that's that's another angle of the conversation I'd like to have today because I see at least the whole world and especially the whole of the United States they're coming to the accepting area of holy crap, okay, Biden has no idea what he's doing. But it's worse than that. Yep. It is worse than that. And like Raheem Kassam I saw on your show earlier, this is not incompetence, this is malintent. This is treason.
I think we should play that clip. It's only a minute long.
Yeah, I think play it.
Yeah. Here's Raheem Kassam talking on the War Room today, and yeah, that's right. Sharing my sound ahead of time, ladies and gentlemen.
There it is.
That's how you know it's going to be a good fucking show. All right, listen to what Raheem Kassam. So, did you see the press conference with Jake Sullivan yesterday, answering questions from the media?
I may have. There's been so many press conferences that I've lost track of them, but go ahead.
Yeah, he didn't do a very good job. Anyway, just listen to what Raheem Kassam has to say here. It's startling.
Gentlemen, we're ignoring the biggest part of all of this. Okay. This is not incompetence. This is deliberate. This is about decline. Jake Sullivan is about decline. Ron Klain is about decline. Antony Blinken is about decline. The reason he's not sitting in that room, apart from not being capable, sure, but is also because they don't want to solve this situation. Jake Sullivan is on the record, and by the way, the National Pulse will have a new podcast out today where we go through him on the record in his own voice, talking about what helps China's rise. Jake Sullivan has been very clear over his entire career that he is interested in helping the Chinese Communist Party, and this fecklessness over Afghanistan, I do not believe is simply incompetence. I believe it is treason to one's own nation. I believe that he does not care. He doesn't care about the Americans on the ground, let alone the Afghanis on the ground who have been helping allied forces for the last 20 years. I'm telling you, this goes right to the heart of who Jake Sullivan really works for.
We're gonna take this at the top of the hour.
You have Chinese communists, basically. People basically have sworn allegiance to the Chinese Communist Party, dictating our foreign policy right now. I mean, that's what's going on. We have an infiltrated executive branch, a conquered. Actually, let's just say the word for what it is: a conquered executive branch, and they're making moves around the world, not with the American people in mind, not with any of our allies in mind. And I put allies in quotations because I don't think the United States is a single ally right now. I think there's a lot of people in the world that are our allies, but when it comes to actual governments, power structures in the world. The United States does not have a friend out there. So anyway, none of this is for the people. All of this is to increase the power and control of the Chinese party, to usher in a one world government, a one world communist hellhole. And those are the people right now making the moves, unfortunately. And so anyone that says that what we're seeing has anything to do with incompetence is kind of falling for it right now. I'm going to say something very, very clearly. I had more to do with what happened in Afghanistan than Joe Biden did, personally. Joe Biden is the senile idiot that's put up. He's a patsy. He's a patsy.
Yeah, he's being used as nothing more than the face of a puppet.
Yeah, exactly. So they put him up there, and he's the whipping boy for us all. They put him up there. We all go crazy. Joe Biden's incompetent. Joe Biden doesn't know what he's doing. Joe Biden's unprepared. Joe Biden. It's not Joe Biden. It has nothing to do with Joe Biden. Nothing. This is so far beyond Joe Biden. Joe Biden doesn't even wipe his own ass. You think he's strategizing in military operations? You think he's in there, the situation room, giving coherent feedback on what to do next? I swear to God, they hand him like a fruit cup or something and tell him to go sit in the corner and to read his cue card when the time comes. That's it. There's nothing there. There's nothing there.
No,
I stole that fruit cup line from quite frankly, I have to say.
Full disclosure.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, I said yesterday I try not to watch other people's shows before I go on air because I don't want to take stuff. And when I do watch, I always try to be upfront with you guys. Like, this person said this. Quite frankly, I had a great line about that photo in the situation room where he's sitting there, and people are saying it's Photoshop. That was Frank's like, yeah, he's probably just sitting there eating a fruit cup. And they took a picture of it and they're trying to make it into something else. I don't know. Anyway, go ahead, man.
Well, you pretty much summed it up. I mean, let's take a step back and look at the situation from like your proverbial 40,000 foot view. Okay, the Trump administration left the Biden administration with a coherent plan, an agreement that was already settled with the Taliban, and they went back on it. And as a result of that, they have handed control of the entire country of Afghanistan over to the Taliban. They have armed them in ways that we can't even begin to imagine how horrible the fact is that they have billions of dollars worth of U.S. military equipment, right? MRAPs. I saw some planes, some fighter jets that belong to Afghanistan. They have those now. Brand new Blackhawks. Literally mountains of small arms, artillery, ammunition. You name it, they've got it now. From our military, they've seized it. Right?
Yeah.
So that is the situation. We have. And I'm seeing that the Biden administration is giving them money in exchange for cooperation with allowing, U.S. citizens and people who, interpreters, other Afghans or whatever. They're trying to bribe the Taliban at this point in time to allow people into the airport to be evacuated.
Yeah,
the Biden administration has given them a country. They have full control over it. They've given them billions of dollars worth of our military equipment. And they've given them a bunch of freaking money in exchange for a promise that they have absolutely no reason to stay faithful to. And now that the Taliban is going door to door in Afghanistan, killing people if they have a downloaded Bible on their phone, firing weapons into crowds of people waving the Afghanistan flag. It's an entire shit show. And this all could have been prevented if the fraud was not allowed to stand. If President Trump was, say what you will about President Trump's plan, but they had an agreement with the Taliban to withdraw. And it could have gone.
Well, let me stop you there, Pixels.
Way different.
Let me stop you there because I'm gonna read something here. I read this on my show, but I'm going to read it again because it's a big story and it goes right along with what you're saying. Joe Biden's State Department halted a Trump-era crisis response plan aimed at avoiding Benghazi evacuations just moments before Taliban takeover. This was just released at 4 o'clock today by Raheem Kassam, who's been absolutely fantastic since November 3rd, really. This and beyond that, he had a huge part in the come on, take me to the article. My internet has been awful today, but he had a huge part in Brexit, and now he's fighting here, for some truth and transparency in the United States. But this is huge. So Joe Biden's State Department halted a Trump-era crisis response plan aimed at avoiding Benghazi-style evacuation. So Joe Biden's State Department moved to cancel critical State Department program aimed at providing swift and safe evacuations of Americans out of crisis zones just months prior to the fall of Kabul, the National Pulse can exclusively reveal. The Contingency and Crisis Response Bureau, which is designed to handle medical, diplomatic, and logistical support concerning Americans overseas, was paused by Anthony Blinken's State Department earlier this year. Notification was officially signed just months before the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan. Quote, sensitive but unclassified, an official State Department document from the Biden State Department begins before outlining the following move to quash the Trump-era funding for the new bureau. The document is from the desk of Deputy Secretary of State Brian P. McKeon, confirmed in March by the United States Senate. The document is dated June 11th, 2021. Through the National Pulse understands the decision to pause the program may have come as early as February, both undermining the original Trump-era date for the withdrawal of troops from Afghanistan and certainly giving the Taliban time to threaten American assets and lives on the run up to Joe Biden's September 11th date of withdrawal. The subject line reads, Contingency and Crisis Response Bureau, and the body of the document recommends that you, quote, that you direct the discontinuation of the establishment and termination of the Contingency and Crisis Response Bureau and direct a further review of certain associated department requirements and capabilities. It goes on, quote, that you direct this documentation of the establishment and termination of CCR consistent with the applicable legal requirements, necessary stakeholder engagement, and any applicable changes to the Foreign Affairs Manual and other requirements. The document reveals that recommendations were approved on June 11, 2021. Speaking exclusively to the National Pulse, former President Donald J. Trump blasted Biden's irresponsible move. Quote, my administration prioritized keeping Americans safe. Biden leaves them behind. Canceling this successful Trump administration program before the withdrawal that would have helped tens of thousands of Americans reach home is beyond disgraceful. Our withdrawal was conditions-based and perfect. It would have been flawlessly executed and nobody would have even known we'd left. The Biden execution and withdrawal is perhaps the greatest embarrassment to our country in history, both as a military and humanitarian operation. In a lengthy article in Vanity Fair from May 2021, the Contingency and Crisis Response Bureau also referred to an overlap with a predecessor's partner bureau called OpMed, is described as a little-known team of medics and miracle workers hidden deep within the U.S. Department of State. I'm going to skip over the Vanity Fair part of that for a second, just for the sake of time. The National Pulse understands that career Benghazi-style situation for Americans overseas. Instead, Biden's team revoked the funding and the approval for the plan, even as COVID-19 crisis reasserted itself and Afghanistan withdrawal loomed. And then a 2022 State Department budget justification document presented to U.S. Congress earlier this year notes on page 22, the department has paused implementation of OpMed CCR pending a policy review. So there's no money. There's no money in the budget for pulling, Americans and allies out of Afghanistan responsibly. There's no money in the budget for recovering our billions of dollars worth of weapons and making sure those don't fall in the hands of adversaries. There's no money for any of that. But hey, Pakistan is looking for some funds for gender studies, and I think the country of Jordan needs a wall on their northern Syrian border, and I'm sure India, needs God knows what. I mean, it's just like,
and Russia needs a pipeline, but we don't.
Russia needs a pipeline. It's like, give me a fucking break. Whenever they use budget or money, like, oh, we don't have money for that as an excuse. How many like, isn't there like $1 trillion from the last budget or spending bill that's yet to be spent? How much money have they printed that's just sitting around collecting dust, building up interest on it, that has to be paid back, that isn't being used to help anybody or anything? How much of that goes unspent? And why aren't we dipping into that rather than printing more money? You know, all of this is such bullshit. And it defies all common sense. Everything we're talking about right now should infuriate you, because all of you are smart enough to see this on the surface level.
Yep.
The last people to leave when you're leaving a war zone are the people with the fucking guns that can defend themselves. Why were they pulled out first? It doesn't take a military expert. I've never worn an ounce of camouflage in an official capacity in my life. I've never studied military tactics outside of playing Call of Duty and Battlefield on my computer. I've never had anything to do with any of this stuff. I don't know anything about it. But I can tell you without any hesitation, with full confidence, that when you're trying to evacuate a battle zone, you don't leave unarmed people in harm's way. It doesn't make any freaking sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't. You don't tell me that there's no money in the budget for something that important when you have $1 trillion unspent from the last spending bill just sitting there collecting interest that we have to pay back to the Federal Reserve. And that's why it's infuriating to all of us, because it's as stupid as it sounds on the surface level. They can throw all the word salad and nonsense they want at it to try to convince us that they know better, and it's just too complex for us stupid little people to comprehend and just to trust them. They've got it under control. But no, it's not. It's not. It's exactly what it looks like and feels like on the surface level. And that twinge in your gut, that anger that builds in your chest, and that fury that comes out, just pure energy and fire, that's all righteous, because you're absolutely right if you feel that way. This is bullshit on every level, and a tiny iota of common sense wipes this whole thing away. And that's why we all get so freaking fed up, because it's right there on the surface. There's nothing there that's too complicated to understand.
Right. We don't need to decode any of this for you. It's cut and dry. It's very simple. It's right out in the open and extremely obvious. And that brings me to my point. Whether or not it no longer matters, and hasn't for a while, to be honest. It no longer matters what side of the aisle anybody out there considers themselves to be. You either support people who at least want to do right by your country, or you support people who are literally proving to you in real time that they are the biggest treasonous pieces of garbage on the planet. And that is exactly what is going on right now. This entire situation has proven to us that our country is currently being led by a group of people who don't give a single shit about you, and it doesn't matter whether you're on the left or whether you're on the right.
Yep.
And here's another one, just to drive it home. Okay? Before I read this headline, and I'll keep it on the screen. Before I read this headline, we'll review the situation at hand. The Biden administration has given the Taliban a country. They have taken control over it. They've armed them with billions of dollars of our weapons and other military equipment, and they've given them a bunch of money. Right? They're standing there claiming that they're trying to evacuate Americans, 10,000 of them apparently, according to recent reports. At least 10,000 Americans stuck in Afghanistan right now, their lives at risk. And what do? They fly 2,000 people out of there, out of which only 325 are American. You want to talk about treason? They are putting, according to this administration, these Afghans, who aren't being vetted, by the way. We have no idea where their allegiance lies. We have no idea of if, as soon as they get on American soil, they're going to start planning a terrorist attack.
Or if they have any interest at all in assimilating, right, to American society. That's the other thing, too.
Right.
Like you want to bring over all these people. Look,
Now they're importing their fighters. Possibly they are importing the Taliban into our country instead of the Americans that are sitting there wondering if they're gonna get beheaded by some loony freaking theocratic authoritarian retards known as the Taliban. And this is the situation that we have. And I'm sorry, I am freaking pissed off. And everybody out there should be. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat. Doesn't matter. You know what? I don't even care if you're a freaking American communist. You should be able to look at this situation and say, this is freaking treason. And these people all behind this, every single person behind this, should be tried for treason right now. Real quick, before we get into it. Tesla Dove out there gifted a cookie, said Deep State Go Boom. Thank you very much, Tesla Dove. It was a while ago, so I want to get through these. Dale Bercier out there gifted shades and says, much love, no Cuomo. No Mo Cuomo. Thank you very much, Dale Bercier. Good to see ya. Arizona Girl USA gifted a can and said, the only reason Afghans fought is we paid them to. We are gone, so is their pay. That is why they are... and it cuts off there. But exactly, they were only fighting because they were being paid. As soon as the money dried up, they surrender to the Taliban immediately. But go ahead, Adel.
No, I mean, look, I think that if there were Afghans there who were supporting our mission, which I think our mission was bullshit, don't get me wrong, but if there were Afghans there who were supporting our troops and supporting our mission, they should be taken care of. Whether they're brought here or somewhere where they'll be safe, they shouldn't be left as, target practice for the Taliban.
But they should not be prioritized over U.S. citizens.
Let me finish what I'm saying. You have to govern your country and put your people first. We hire a president not to take care of Afghans, not to take care of Iraqis, not to take care of the Chinese, not to take care of anybody. We hire a president to represent the people of this country. And while you need to do right by your allies and people who help you in the world, you got to start by taking care of your country. And by making this such a haphazard evacuation, not only have you left thousands, tens of thousands, for what it sounds like, Americans vulnerable in this country, but you've also eliminated any chance for a calm and safe extraction of refugees. How are you going in the current climate there with all the chaos at the airports and everything going on? How are you going to logistically set up a legitimate vetting process for these refugees to make sure that you're not importing someone who should not be coming to America? How are you going to do that now? You had a long time to start working this process, to start vetting people, to start figuring out and planning who needs to be moved out of the country by the time the military was gone. And none of that was done. So they've orchestrated a situation, Pixels, that not only leaves a bunch of Americans in the lurch, but to where they're completely going to be ineffective at vetting the refugees that need to come over. So it's like on all levels, man. It's like, you could tell this was all done on purpose. They wanted this exact situation. It hurts the United States on the world stage. It hurts us from a national security position at home. It strengthens our adversaries. China is licking their chops. They're about to take control of all the natural resources.
They're about to take control of the entire country of Taiwan.
Mm-hmm.
They're already talking about freaking, invading Taiwan because they no longer respect our military. They don't respect this administration. They're not afraid of what would happen. Not at all.
Well, so
how could they be after this debacle?
Part of that, and this is the other thing. You're having China show aggression. You're having a lot of countries in Europe, kind of pushing back and showing aggression back towards China. The establishment, the globalists, these power structures, they're pushing towards another kinetic war at the same time. They need that in their back pocket in case other things don't go as planned. They can't lock down the world. They can't vaccinate the world. They can't do what they need to. Election fraud starts peeking its ugly head around and things start look like they might be happening. Time to go to war. They're mobilizing. They are mobilizing a war too. They're digging for any ammunition they can right now to keep us from focusing on what we need to be focusing on. This is a total disgrace, a total and complete disgrace right now. And the world, the country, we can see it. Let me pull this up. Pixels, because this will make you happy. I don't know if you were able to catch the very beginning of my show today. But there's this article right here. Check out these numbers from this latest Rasmussen poll. This is unbelievable. Stunning poll reveals Trump would win election held today as nearly 1 in 10 Democrats regret their 2020 vote. All right, I'll just stop there for a quick second. 1 in 10. And I'll cover it the same way I covered it on my show. Let's just say Biden in fantasy world got 81 million, right? Well, let's just live in CNN land for a second. All right, Biden got 81 million to Trump's 74 million, right? If you remove 10% of those votes, that puts Biden at what? 83 million or 73 million below President Trump's number. He's already gone. Like, this is incredible. Anyway, stunning new poll numbers from Rasmussen report suggest nearly 1 in 10 Democrats regret their 2020 presidential election, with 12% of moderates saying the same and 14% of Black Americans expressing regret. Furthermore, asked how people would vote if a presidential election were held today, just 37% said they would vote for Joe Biden. 37%. Okay, it gets better. Down from 45% who said they did. 43% said they would vote for Donald Trump. So again, he would win right now. Here's the rest of the details here. 37% of voters say they would vote for Biden today. 13% of Democrats say they would vote for Trump today. Did you hear that, Pixels? That is a stunning number. That is an absolutely stunning number. I'll read that one more time. 13% of Democrats, registered Democrats, that's more than 1 in 10, said they would vote for President Trump today. Only 8 months in to the Biden administration. Moderate voter support for Biden has plummeted 13 points, while Trump has gained. 11% of 18 to 39-year-olds regret their 2020 vote. 14% of Black Americans regret their 2020 vote. 9% of Democrats regret their 2020 vote, and 12% of moderates regret their 2020 vote. I'm going to leave it there. I don't need to go any further. That is the Great Awakening. That's what it looks like.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Because these people are realizing that the situation unfolding right now in our country and around the world is so much more than 4 years worth of mean tweets.
Yep.
They are starting to understand what matters and what does not. Right? And I'm happy about that. The only thing is, though, Adel, it feels a little bit too late. It feels a little bit too late. Considering what's going on right now, what the hell is going to be going on in the world and in our country in 2024 when President Trump is slated to make his return, right, to politics? By 2024, what situation are we going to be in 2024?
I think we're going to hit rock bottom here before the end of this year. And I think
what's rock bottom? Concentration camps for Trump supporters?
I think you're going to see a division of states. I think you're going to see Republican states stay open, Democrat states shut down because of COVID. You're going to see vaccine mandates in some places versus others. It's going to get to the point where you're going to have, I think, what's going to look like a mass exodus from a lot of these blue states. I think you're going to see, I think you're going to see the economy get really shitty, inflation get really shitty. I think we're going to, head towards some pretty crappy times. I think it's going to further illustrate the problems here. I think this is
okay. Let's talk internationally. What does China, Iran, and Russia have in store for us by 2024? What is going to be going on the international scale?
So that's interesting to me, because President Trump pretty much undid half a century of Chinese progress with one trade deal, and they freaked out and unleashed COVID. So if he was able to do that in one administration with the media and Congress and everybody pretty much against him, I think you could have a different landscape. I think, since President Trump left office, the mainstream media has gone way downhill in ratings and influence. You've seen the poll numbers I just showed there. I think when President Trump comes back in 2024, he's going to come back with the country fully behind him. It's not going to be like this divisive, us versus ourselves kind of deal. I think you're going to have a country ready to unify and ready to build something real again. We're exactly where we need to be right now, Pixels, both on an international and national stage. We need this. We need this so badly. There's a lot of people out there, man, that are still, watching CNN and following the crap. This is for them. All of this right now that we're going through, all of this pain, all of this frustration, all of this, it's a necessary evil, because we're never going to be able to reach this segment of the population that doesn't want to hear it. You and I, Pixels, we're evil to them. We're despicable, deplorable. Our words don't mean shit. It doesn't matter what we show them. It doesn't matter what evidence we have or how strong our arguments are, because of who we are and what we believe. It disqualifies us. It discredits us in their eyes before anything is said. So you can't tell those people anything. They have to be shown. And this is the only way to show them. It's like, okay, you wanted your establishment back. Here it is, and enjoy. I don't know if there's a safety net around this. I think there is. Like, I do feel like on some level, God is in control, and we are going to come back stronger than ever from this. But it's going to have to get a lot worse before we get there. You're going to have a lot of people hurt, unfortunately. You're going to need that take to the streets moment from, like you said, left and right together to make this happen. And for it to get to that point, it's going to have to get really, really, really shitty, unfortunately. And we're on the road there.
Here's where I'm at, though, Adel. It's already really, really, really shitty. It really is. Okay, we've got tyranny being rolled out, even though the COVID is essentially over. They keep screaming Delta variant, Delta variant, Delta variant. It's like, how stupid do you have to be to continue to buy this bullshit? Even if it doesn't have to do with COVID, how stupid can you possibly be to still support this regime at this point in time?
It's frustrating right now, but it's not shitty yet. Go to your grocery store. Is there anything you can't find?
Okay, is half the country going to have to starve to death, Adel, to convince the lefties
Yes.
Are we okay with that happening? Are we okay with 150 million deaths?
I think 150 million deaths is hyperbolic, but I think, yeah, you're. I'm
being hyperbolic on purpose.
No, I'm not okay with 150 million deaths. I don't think it's going to get that bad.
How much of a hellscape do we need to wake people up?
I think you're going to need to see shortages in grocery stores. I'm not saying complete
we've already
emptiness.
seen it. We've already seen that.
Not to the level I'm talking about. Like, I've been able to get everything I've needed from the grocery store, even through the worst of the COVID, minus toilet paper for a short period of time. So that can get way, way worse. I mean, in Northern California, they're cutting off power and shit like that already. Imagine that everywhere across the country. That's on the table. Shut off of internet. We haven't experienced that yet. We haven't gone through a period of darkness where we can't communicate. Gas prices, while they're shitty, they've been worse. They have been worse in the past when the dollar was still buying more than it is now. So, I think how shitty is it gonna, I'm talking $10 a gallon gas. I'm talking hyperinflated food. Let's say that bag of oranges you bought was $3. It's probably going to be 10 or 15. The supply is going to be thin. You might have to wait in line at the grocery store, wait in line at the pump. These are the things that'll wake people up, because it doesn't matter who you support politically. Obviously, whoever's in charge isn't getting the fucking job done when you can't go to the pump and pump gas or without waiting for an hour for the pump, right? This is unfortunately where it might need to go. I hope it doesn't. I hope to God that Arizona comes out and says, hey, this is fucked up, and other states do it. And before it gets there, President Trump or something's done about all of this, or maybe we hold on long enough for 2022, the midterms come and Congress puts a firewall on all this and holds it in place for another couple of years. I don't know how this is going to play out. If I knew the future, I'd tell you guys. Trust me,
it'd be great if we knew the future, because we're in like an M. Night Shyamalan film, and I'm on the edge of my seat, and it's getting very stressful.
This is still very much a first world country, guys. We have it still better here than anywhere else. So as much as this sucks right now, and as frustrating as this is, we haven't even begun to see shitty. Okay, we haven't even begun to see shitty. We've seen frustrating, we've seen annoying, we've seen inconvenient, and we've seen a lot of things. But like real shitty, hard to survive. No, we're not there yet, and I don't think we're gonna get to the point where it's like, what is it, Mad Max or like The Walking Dead kind of survival. But I do think it needs to get a little bit worse, significantly worse than it is right now, and I think it will.
I guess what I'm trying to get at here is I don't see it as advantageous to burn a ship that we're all on, right? Just burn it right down until it sinks to the bottom of the ocean to convince people that matches might not be a good idea. It might not be a good idea to light a match on the ship.
But when the ship is owned and operated by the matches company,
but the point that I'm making,
and they're the only ones that get to really have an opinion on the ship, then it makes it very hard. Like, that's the problem. It's not like it's just regular people that you're trying to say, hey, no, the whole thing.
The point that I'm making is that, okay, where does that leave us? It leaves us at the bottom of the ocean drowning, but at least everybody who thought matches were a good idea knows that it's not anymore.
Maybe you just set a sail on fire, you know? You leave yourself stranded out there for a while until President Trump shows up with a boat motor and take, I mean, I don't know, just to follow the analogy. I don't know, man. I don't know. I wish, like I said, I wish I could see the future and tell you, like, well, this is exactly where we're going to start the turnaround. You know, when gas hits $8 a gallon, that's when we rise up, and that's when we take it back and everything gets better. I don't know what that moment is, and I don't know how this all plays out. But what I'm saying is, I trusted Q a lot, and I still trust what Q said and the messaging behind that a lot. And he said before he left, it had to be this way. People must walk through the darkness before they see the light. And we haven't walked through the darkness yet. We haven't. We see the darkness approaching, but we haven't walked through it yet. We just haven't.
I don't know. I think that we are walking through it. It's going to get a lot worse. And I understand, I understand completely where you're coming from. I guess the point that I would like to leave all you guys with, we only have 15 minutes left. This is flown by, and it's been an amazing conversation. I miss doing this every week, you know what I mean? Like, we always have awesome conversations, and lately it's been a little bit more news heavy, but I see huge value in us just conversing like this. I'm sure people out there understand that as well. Real quick, though, Luann V out there gifted a can and said, "Preach it, Pixels." Thank you very much, Luann V, for the can, and I will preach it. Till the day that I freaking die, I will be preaching it up here for you guys. Tweety52 out there gifted a cookie and said, "Make treason a crime again." Seriously, here's the thing. The greatest thing you can do to prevent crime is actually punish people who commit them. So, right on ya there, Tweety52. Thank you for the cookie. Dognuts10 out there gifted a can and said, "Welcome to the Great Awakening." Thank you very much, Dognuts10. Tesla Dove out there gifted a cookie and said, "I have heard that if T waits for 2 years before being reinstated, he can run a third time." I'm really not sure about that, Tesla Dove. It would be awesome, but I don't see it happening. Dale Bercier out there gifted a ship and said, "Because youngsters' lives matter." Thank you very much, Dale Bercier. And Chismosa out there gifted a cookie and said, "I still have a lot of family still sleeping. It will be a while and worse." Yeah, so I mean, unfortunately, yeah, we'll probably have to deal with this shit for quite a long time.
I need everybody out there, but besides Dangleberry, to mute their stream for a second. If you're not Dangleberry, just mute your stream for a second. I need to say something for Dangleberry, because I think he's Dangleberry. All right. The only path forward is for the military to step in tomorrow, August 19th, 2021, remove Biden and Kamala and insert President Trump immediately. That is the only path forward. The only path forward. There is no other way that we could ever possibly take this country back unless the military steps in tomorrow and removes all of the traitors, puts them all in Guantanamo Bay. There's going to be mass arrests on every screen in the country, every TV, movie theater, projection, whatever. It's all just going to play mass arrests all day long for about a month. It's on repeat. We're all going to rejoice. That's the only way forward. Nothing else matters. Okay, everybody else can unmute their stream now. That was for Dangleberry. He needed to hear that. He thinks I'm a clone, because I speak common sense sometimes instead of playing in fantasy land. But that's for Dangleberry. Okay. Anyway, I mean, it's just like, I get it. It's painful, and you don't want to hear that we might have to roll up our sleeves and do this ourselves.
Here's the thing, Adel. How can we expect the American people to do this themselves if we still, even with all this bullshit out there happening and it being so obvious, we can't even expect these people to open their eyes and look at this, the reality of the situation? How can we expect the American people to take back their country when half of them don't even know that their country's been freaking taken?
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna have to see that. That's the problem, is like they would never get to see that unless we were going through this. There would be no Great Awakening. There would be no change to our election laws. There would be no significant change if we're not going through this. We had gotten another 4-year reprieve from President Trump, and then it would been right back to the machine. Just as fast as we kicked it, it would have been right back. We need long-term solutions that carry out for the next generation, or at least give the next generation a hope at maintaining the liberties that we enjoy today. And those liberties are very close to being thrown away. But unfortunately, that's because the population went to sleep, and now it's time to wake them up. And that's exactly what's happening. I know it's not happening fast enough for some of you, but it's not gonna be a short, easy process. And look, I deserve some of it from people like Dangleberry, because I was a true believer, like the 2018-19. I'm not gonna lie, like I thought that this shit was gonna be wrapped up by like beginning of 2019. Like, you know, throughout 2018, when we're reading these posts and everything, I'm thinking like, damn, like we're about to see the military or whatever swoop in, and like everyone's going to jail. We're gonna be partying by 2020. Like the 2020 election is a foregone conclusion. Like the deep state's gonna be gone by then. That was what I thought in 2018, and that's how I presented myself to you guys then. So I get where you're coming from. To hear me talk in a more, what's the word I'm looking for? Not so hopium kind of way is probably hard for some people that have been following me for a long time, but we got to at some point, base ourselves
in face the reality on the
ground. Exactly. So 412 was my go-to for Q drop. So this is rough, dude. I'm not discounting anything Q said, but I think where we differ is the timeline and how what Q told us would happen would come to be. You think it's going to come from the top. I think it's going to come from the bottom. I think we both believe we're going to get to the same place, Dangle. And I appreciate you, man. I really do. But I think you misinterpret where I'm going with all of this a little bit. Sorry, Pixels, go ahead.
Here's what I'll say. In closing, because we only have 9 minutes left, it's not going fast enough for me, right? The thing you said there, Adel, people are not waking up fast enough for me. Not in the slightest. We need this to happen faster. We can't allow this to happen in our country for much longer, at least not with mass dissent, okay? So my plea to everyone out there watching, the 524 people out there watching on Foxhole, and I'm sure we have more watching on other platforms, my plea to you is get vocal. We should no longer be afraid to speak about this stuff in public. We never should have been in the first place. I don't care if you're in line at a gas station to grab some beer. I don't care if you're at the grocery store. I don't care if you're at the bank. I don't care where the hell you are. Speak up about this shit and do not shut up. We have to, right now, imagine the Biden administration is a dog that just took a shit on your floor. What do you do to that dog? You stick its nose in it and you make it smell it and you scold the damn thing. Okay? We need to be doing that to the left right now. Mostly it was the voter fraud that put this jackass and all of his deep state cronies in power, okay? But there were people out there who hated Trump so much because they were brainwashed and they were too lazy to do their own research. Those people need to be told, I told you so. Rub their nose in this shit. Constantly. They have to be told, this is your fault. All the stuff we're going through right now, our freedoms being taken away, cities being locked down, kids being forced to wear masks in schools, a poison death shot being forced upon several whole countries. All of this tyranny, all of this nonsense, the situation in Afghanistan, China gearing up to take over Taiwan, the inflation, the economy going to shit, all of this is their fault. And they need to be told that. They need to be shamed the way that they all shamed us for voting for the orange man. They need to be shamed right now. They need to hear in public people talking about how ridiculous this is. Right? It is, these people have used social pressure on us, on our side, the entire time along, and it was all based on fraudulent bullshit. But now we have a true political weapon to use against this crap. And I would implore every single person out there, get vocal about this in public. I don't care where you are or who's standing around you. Get vocal about it. And that's my closing statement on this. We have to wake people up, and if some people discount what we say, screw them. We'll still shout it from the rooftops. They need to hear this. They need to feel terrible about what they've done to our country. That's it.
I mean, I definitely, on the vocal side, absolutely. And, the people out there that, voted for Biden because of Trump's mean tweets or whatever. Yeah, they definitely need to face that. But I'm not gonna, I won't go as far as to say that they're the reason why we're in this situation. It's all
the sheeple are. We just went through this conversation. The people who fell asleep in our country are the ones who led us to this point.
But I mean, I was asleep up until 4 years ago, so I led us into this point. For 30 years of my life, I was part of the problem. I don't know if
then you woke up.
Yeah, but then I woke up. But okay, the NIH, the DOJ corruption, the State Department corruption, like the bureaucracy was built while I was asleep. The fact that I recognize that it exists now is great, but this was all built while we were all asleep. Joe Biden isn't the beginning of the cabal. So while I agree that we need to wake people up and be vocal and, rub their noses in it, sure, but let's not make the mistake that, all of this problem was caused by this one last election. I don't think that President Trump was going to be able to save this country in another 4 years. This problem was here and it was deadly before Trump ever took office. This problem started back in the 40s. All right. Even before that, 1917 was when the Federal Reserve got put into place. So let's not put all this on the backs of Joe Biden and the sheep in 2020. The 50 million or so who actually did go to the polls and vote for this idiot. It didn't start there. And that might be a combination of a potential endpoint, which I don't think it is, but that you can't, it's completely unfair to say, oh, if you voted for Biden, you ruined this country. No, I mean, the generation before us played a huge role in ruining this country by not being awake. You and I, Pixels, being younger, we inherited a mess. And even our parents inherited a mess before that. And our grandparents inherited a mess. I would even go as far as to say before that. This cabal is generations old. This problem is generations old. And it's going to take a generation probably to fix it. So, yes, I agree. The sheeple out there are a problem. Yes, I agree they need to be woken up. But I'm not going to go to somebody and say you're the reason why this country is about to die. That's not fair. That's not fair to anybody.
But I do, and that's not what I want. Okay, I don't want people to be dicks to one another because they're asleep and it's frustrating. What I want is for these people to hear in public people talking about how ridiculous all of this is, right? They don't even need to be confronted personally. They just need to overhear someone else talking about it. And laying out how horrible this is, the tyranny that we're facing, the complete failure of the Biden administration to do anything good for anybody in this country, whether or not you're left or right. They need to hear about how big of a failure this is and how wrong it is and how corrupt the government is, right?
Yeah.
They don't even need to be confronted. They just need to overhear people talking about this, and they need to hear it a lot, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Because then what's going to happen in their mind? Holy crap, I am now a villain to the vast majority of people out there because I've been an idiot and I haven't done my research and I've believed that Rachel Mad Cow moron on MSNBC, and here's where it's landed us. These people, they have for the past 5 years seen themselves as the moral gods of this country. They've seen themselves as the ones with the moral high ground and love all people and LGBTQ and refugees and blah blah blah. They've stood on this fake moral pedestal and they need to be knocked off of it immediately.
I agree. No, that absolutely. You're right about that. I'm not arguing with that. My only problem with what you said was to say like they're the reason we're in this situation is so unfair. We inherited this.
No, everybody who was asleep for the past 100 years is the reason.
Yeah, this is a collective fuck up, and now we need a collective fix it, right? And it's again, I go back. I'm just gonna read it. Hold on, I'm gonna just read the whole thing, or at least the part of it that's. All right. How do you show the public the truth? How do you safeguard U.S. elections post-POTUS, meaning President Trump? How do you remove foreign interference and corruption and install U.S.-owned voter ID laws and other safeguards? It had to be this way. Sometimes you must walk through the darkness before you see the light. He's laying it out. For all of you that followed and trusted the plan for all of this time, now is not the time to get happy feet. Now is not the time to get freaked out and lose your mind on this. Stay steady. Keep pushing. Keep grinding. Keep doing what you're doing day in, day out. Stay loud, like Pixel said. Stay visible and stay at it. Go to your school boards, your committee meetings, call your local representatives, share the memes, the news articles, have the conversations, be active with your family, your local communities. Do whatever you can do in your own little bubble and just grind forward. You're going to be fine. You're going to be fine if you keep your eye on the ball. Sometimes you must walk through the darkness before you see the light. When he says sometimes he's not talking about you. He's talking about this country as a whole. He's telling you it's going to get dark. It's going to get very, very dark. But through that darkness, many who couldn't see the light prior will. And that's what it's going to take. And unfortunately, those of us who are awake, those of us who understand this and see the full picture, we're the ones that have to be the bigger people, the adults in the room, the ones that are willing to put our own emotions, our own desires, and our own timelines aside and bring people along. We were slated for this. We're supposed to be the strong ones who keep our heads on straight during this. That's what the last 4 years of Q Post and all of this was about. It was making sure that there was a segment of us out there with influence that could keep people calm and on track. So now's not the time to lose our minds. Now's the time to be that rock, that stabling entity, and hold the line. Hold the line through the darkness. That's all I'm going to say today. Pixels, thank you for an awesome show, my friend.
100%, man. An amazing conversation. We've had a great time here today. And I could not agree with what Adel just said there. All of us are angry right now, right? I can feel it in the air. And it's righteous indignation. We have every reason to be angry right now. And it's because we're watching our beloved nation get ripped to shreds by a group of treasonous, do-nothing, no-good, evil bastards, okay? So this anger that we're feeling is coming out of love for our country. And what we need to do is funnel this anger into doing something productive, right? Red pill the shit out of everybody around you. Every moment of every day. If you don't have a show, but you have thoughts on your mind that you need to get out there, if you want to join in this fight, there's always more room in this movement for more shows. There's always more room for more hosts. There's always more room for more influencers, if you want to call them that. If you're not in the fight, if you've been in the sidelines and you've had enough, get in the fight. Do it right now. And that's my closer for today. Get involved, stay vocal, red pill people, keep loving your country, and any anger that you're feeling right now, take that righteous indignation, that ball of energy within you right now, and put it towards doing something for your country. Whether it's going to a school board meeting or holding your congressman's feet to the fire and telling them you better install voter ID, you better get rid of these Dominion machines, you better initiate a forensic audit of blank state. It doesn't matter what it is, just do something. This situation that we're in right now requires every single able-bodied American to fight for freedom. So that's it. Much love, everyone. God bless you. This has been The New Guard with one of my best friends in the whole freaking world, Adel Nero, and of course, your buddy here, Season Pixels. We love you guys, and we'll see you next week. Make sure to catch my show tomorrow. The Breakdown, I'll be going through all the day's news, rapid fire. That's on my channel on Foxhole, Season Pixels, so catch that tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Adel, what do you have going on?